Middle East tensions very much back in focus after what was hopefully a restful long weekend for everybody here. 3-day weekend, and now we come back and big drop here in oil, spike up here in the market in spite of some news that might not seem too positive in terms of suggesting a quick end to this conflict in the Middle East. You know, the U.S. announced defensive or self-defense strikes here on Iran, according to Central Command. Iran Foreign Ministry spokesperson speaking out, saying that the U.S. has violated the ceasefire and that Iran will not hesitate to defend themselves. So this back and forth very much is going to continue. But as mentioned here, S&P 500 gapping up in a major way, USO gapping down. You're seeing a lot of strength in names like Micron in the tech space. They also got a massive 3 times price increase here from UBS, going from 535 to 1625. Space sector, or space, if you will, very much still in watch here as we await that SpaceX IPO. And some European names as well, like BP and RACE, making big moves. We'll talk about all of that later. But in the meantime, again, hope everyone had a very restful long weekend. And good morning, Sharif. Happy belated birthday. How was your long weekend?
Appreciate it, Adara. It was fantastic, nice and restful. A lot of R&R. And some sun yesterday. Good morning, guys. Lots to talk about this morning. A marked variance here between the price of Brent crude and WTI. Something to watch out for there. Could be an interesting play for arb traders. We got Micron ripping through that $800 area, up already 7%. A lot of positive notes on this one as well. And race. Ferrari unveiling their first ever fully electric vehicle, designed by the former Apple designer Johnny Ives. They're down here almost 3% here to start the morning. As you mentioned, Adara, a lot of strength in these space names. The NASA ETF here up almost 8 4/5 to start the morning. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, I was seeing apparently somewhere Cantor Fitzgerald had a note on these. They seem to be weighing in on Rocket Lab every other week, so make of that what you will. If you find more, we'll certainly let you know. But again, the other European name I do want to mention, because this came out a little bit later in the morning, BP, British Petroleum, announcing the removal of Albert Manifold as chair and director. You can read more about that in our Trader TV Live watch list. But in the meantime, good morning and happy end of long weekend here to Sean and Neil. How are you guys this 3-day weekend? How are you doing this morning?
Doing good. Fun weekend. Bad weather Saturday, but the rest of it was fantastic. Yeah. I'll tell you that much. No complaints yesterday. The market's higher. Oil's down. Can't hate, man. The space names are going nuts. Apparently, Pony AI is going around, flying around here. Momentous will be in play. A lot of people already talking about that. And then 77% up. You've got Redwire gapping up here, 14 points. There's so much strength. And Micron, the chip story, still very much intact. Another 7 points. Remember, this sold off all afternoon on Friday, and then it just doesn't matter. So more fresh all-time highs here. The only people upset, I guess, are the shorts and Cleveland Cavaliers fans. That's about it.
Yeah, Cleveland really didn't show up there for the finals, did they? Yeah, they lost by 40.
Showing up on the court is about the only thing they did do.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, Marvell, again, starting to go upside, another 7% here. So these, yeah, as we mentioned just earlier there, I forget the Stream Deck going on. Stream Deck, there it is, guys. We get some bangs going. Yeah, there's Marvell. I mean, look at this daily chart. I mean, this is just 5 days ago. This was at 170. You know, now up to 208, and it looks like it wants to go higher. How about this name? We saw last week, we saw SoFi, some traders talking about, you know, are we finally basing out now for SoFi? I have SoFi written down as the #1 trade idea here today. Finally starting to break through this $16 mark. And hopefully we can hold a bid, as Anthony Noto talking to Joe over the weekend and buying leaps, trying to talk about that with his own stock. So we'll see what Anthony Noto's up to here, putting some money back into SoFi, and hopefully that gets upside. But yeah, 4% there. SOFI continues to climb higher. Yeah, definitely a good day to check the old portfolio out. That is for sure. But yeah, Knicks is going to be wild there. Apparently, courtside seats already going for $200 to $300 grand there for games 3 and games 4. And it will be the Western team that will have home court advantage this time around. And then what about Apple is going to be another name that I have on watch, man. 311 for Apple. I mean, I don't know if there is going to be a stronger daily chart than what Apple looks like. We talked about Micron actually pulling back a little bit. Apple is now like how many days in a row? You get one little red day there, now it's just kicking even higher. Upgrade there at Bank of America today, talking all about the AI stack again and how they should be advantageous of what this next sort of round of AI investing is, right? So we like Apple there. Yeah, Rocket Lab, everything in the space sector started to go there. That NASA ETF is an interesting one as well. There, look, it's up another 5% here for RKLB. So, yeah, man, they're not all built the same today. It's going to be a Marvell, CoreWeave, a whole bunch of different names popping. Still think Microsoft probably needs to get invested in at some point at some of these levels there. We'll see if Joe's Copilot ever gets going. But this is going to be an interesting moment for Microsoft trying to get back higher. And then I think even NVIDIA was up today, right?
Yeah, up a point.
To some extent, yeah, 218 and change, up one and a bit percentage points here. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's going down? Oh, USO was down 4%.
Only oil.
Was it 4%? Was it 3%? And then we got that other, we got another story that's starting to tick back up again here. That there was some more, not controversy, but I guess there was some more planes, some more bombings there, as they were worried about what's going on. Maybe some
offensive attacks.
Yeah, some more military, like the mines are getting dropped there in the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States reacted to that as well. So, yeah, I guess that ceasefire is sort of the word I'm looking for there. Not existed right now, but yeah, more stuff happening in the space today. Lots of different names going higher.
Yeah, even so, there's like multiple energy names going higher. NNE had a news story, but Oklo just moved precipitously to the upside, selected by the U.S. Department of Energy for advanced negotiations under surplus plutonium utilization program. So that just gapped and continues higher. NNE had a different nanonuclear on much lighter volume, is also up 10%. But I mean, Sympathy, SMR is up like 5 points today, or almost 5 points today. So there's just so much movement. The only thing it doesn't seem like it's doing anything are the quantum names. Like, they're all flat after basically leading the way last week. There is supposed to be QNT, Quantinium, is filing for an IPO. So there's actually a quantum IPO. I don't know if it'll be this week, but QNT at some point this week. At some point in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get SpaceX. That, of course, is why all the space stocks have been absolutely flying around. Rocket Lab was a successful launch last week. So much to cover, so much to look at. Should be a fun one. Might be holiday shortened week, but I don't think we'll be shy of any action. After the bell, we get Marvell tomorrow. I think after the bell today, it's just like Zscaler. So there's a few names to get to, but not too many when it comes to the earnings sphere. And so far, you can't really complain. Regardless of what you think of earnings, market's at all-time highs. And we'll certainly take that, won't we? And of course, happy belated birthday to Sharif, who celebrated.
Appreciate you, Neil. I appreciate you. It was a good weekend, nice and relaxing. Posted up by the parents' swimming pool. It was a nice day in Markham. It wasn't a really good weekend, though, so you really couldn't use the weekend. But, hey, yesterday was nice. So we had the family over. We had some barbecue, and it was as R&R as I could get it there.
Couple housekeeping things quickly in terms of what to expect for today, and also a new catalyst here in WULF, a name that I know a lot of you guys like. Did it acquire an over 1 gigawatt Muskie data campus in Eastern Kentucky? Looks like this was announced right at 8 a.m. Expecting to support 500 megawatts starting in the second half of 2028, with another 500 targeted for second half of 2030. We also have comments coming from Kevin Hassett, who is White House economic advisor, as usual, pretty optimistic here about the economy, saying the stock market is celebrating, his words, because productivity is so high and that energy prices will drop once the Strait of Hormuz reopens. Now, that brings us, Sharif, to talk about some of these oil headlines. We mentioned some of these, but yeah, this self-defense strike here, according to the U.S., in Iran, specifically targeting, at least in part, these boats that are dropping mines.
They are, yes. That's exactly how they were characterized, as defensive in nature, targeting missile launch infrastructure and the Iranian naval mine threats, which are tied to kind of force protection in the region. The messaging, though, from the White House does remain quite positive, at least with initial reports indicating a deal could be near completion. We'll have to wait and see. It's typically been mixed messaging from different parties, with the American side a bit more optimistic and the Iranian side looking to tamp down the optimism, obviously, to keep the pressure on the administration. A lot of analysts feel that the time is on the Iranian side, even though their economy has been pressured pretty dramatically, about $500 million a day in lost economic productivity. is basically bleeding from that country. On the other side of the coin, though, the Americans, well, the Republicans specifically, are looking to maybe tie President Trump's hands within the next week or two vis-a-vis a war powers resolution in the House and the Senate. So we'll have to see exactly how much time President Trump has left and who blinks first.
It's also interesting here as well as, again, this is being characterized by the U.S. as a self-defense strike, and they even specified, or CENTCOM spokesperson rather, specifying that this strike, it's very important to note here, is not apparently a violation of the ceasefire, and they want to honor the ceasefire. Iran obviously doesn't agree, but really interesting that CENTCOM is saying that this is still part of the U.S. trying to honor the ceasefire. How do you guys feel here about oil, and even maybe some of these names that are trading higher here as oil pushes lower?
Well, you know, really, I think we've been pulling back basically most of last week. We were pulling back in oil futures prices, and even with a bit of a move to the upside here, if we do grind higher on USO, it'll be into prior support, and I think that gives you, like, if we end up with one of those days where we get a strong morning, look for in oil anyways, look for it to get back in to fill in that gap, and when it gets there, if there's nothing bad, let's just say, that's going to cause the push to higher, I'd look for that to give you some, dip buys and other things, short up top there in the it's like 139 to 140 range. So I mean, ultimately here, I think we've seen at least the last few sessions. It hasn't been. There's been no doom and gloom. There's been a couple of headlines here or there that have moved things, but nothing too crazy. And I think we're at this point where everyone's just sort of focused on, well, you got to get in line with the AI trade, and you got to get in line with the memory names. They're just absolutely flying here, and people are trying to play a little bit of catch up. And then you throw in the fact that we've had pretty good earnings. Like, you can say whatever you want about the price reaction by NVIDIA, but I think they sort of reiterated all of the strengths that you were looking for, and the hyperscalers didn't do anything to make you feel upset that we'd get continued spending. So from that standpoint, I think it's kind of an all systems go for the market. But if we do get that grind higher, I would look for the 139, 140 on USO to be a spot for a turnaround, and then look for some bids in SOX if we get the little dip buy. So yeah, I'll use it as the futures, kind of like as a futures here, but feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm not terribly worried that a deal won't eventually happen. We haven't been that focused, some of the tech stocks, on it anyway, so not too much of a concern here.
Yeah, no, I'm not just talking about buying some suits for my kid here for graduation. Yeah, I was thinking about renting anyways. There's USO coming back in. I still think we go a lot lower if something gets settled. I just don't know when that is. It's still remaining relatively heightened at this point, and we just got some, just hearing in our ear, like, just more news about, some of the situations happening right now in the Strait. I mean, is it going to be open? Is it not? I'm almost looking at gold here with the current rate environment. Here comes the story, probably. Yeah, there we go. So some sort of another explosion happening. I was thinking about gold. It really hasn't been doing anything for a long time. If anything, the 50 period is now starting to stream down a little bit. This is getting interesting for me at this $400 level. And of course, this is not per ounce. It doesn't mean it's 4,000 an ounce. It's like 45 something right now an ounce. But yeah, bouncing off the 200 period, this is looking a little bit more exciting to me than oil, just as a potential trade. If we're thinking about, what's going to happen with the money supply, what's happening with current rates. We talked about the bonds and the yields getting quite elevated, and if people are wondering, hey, are stocks going to be at risk here with some of the valuations, the PE of the market is obviously well extended, but the price to earnings ratio doesn't really matter as long as earnings keep going, so that should be something that we're looking forward to. But yeah, I'm coming back in this 400 to 401 marker here for GLD. I think it might be worth starting to nibble in just a bit. Gold hasn't done much since, you're getting it all the way back to March levels. Still think it needs to be a little more elevated than where we are. I mean, if this VIX ever gets going, the NASDAQ is just on a straight, shot to the upside, up another 1% here today. So that's trying to hold back some gold, but I still think there's value in the portfolio, and even silver. Two of these names here, if I know we're looking to talk a little bit about oil, but I think silver and gold both at levels where you could pick up a little bit. If traders do start to get a little nervous about the equity positions, maybe there is some funneling through into silver and gold at some point here. So yeah, that's little something that I'm looking at, silver, gold, maybe nibble it into the portfolio. And I don't know if you saw Eli Lilly's up again, another couple points here today. Well, they've just fallen into, well, no. I guess when it was at 1080, it was a little different, but up almost 1% Eli Lilly. And look at this name, continuously going as well. There's some great names in this space. SMR, maybe it's a nuclear day today. We talked about energy, oil coming in. Where's all the love for oil names? You can look at XOM and CVX. Obviously, they're still, hovering, not near lows, but they're a little under their 50 period. But SMR today, Oklo on that news that Neil just shared. These are possibly the days today. We saw Quantum really get going on some investments last week. Maybe today is an SMR kind of day, or Oklo, or, the news is with Oklo, Nano Nuclear. I know you have that one, that's up too. And then, yeah, we talked about also on Friday there, thinking about IBM and that it extended through. Talk about quantum names maybe not being looked at today. Maybe they're short. IBM just came in right into this 260 area and has fallen in now. So we busted through it during the, I don't know if it was a pre-market or, let me see, on Friday there for IBM. I think it just went down all day, I believe. Let me just zoom back in. Zoom back out a little bit there. Yeah, so there it was. So up to 264, got really going there on Friday morning, and then kind of faded all day, down $10. So we'll have to wait to see if people, run to the gates here to buy IBM, or I think potentially selling this name off. Watch for like a 258 or so area sell for IBM. But yeah, just lots of actionable trades there today, including in the oil space for sure. We can go back over to the desk here as Randy has brought in us our bananas for the day. I wonder what breakfast is going to be there today. You already saw it? Oh, shakshuka again. Okay.
The one, that Junior Chef Showdown show.
Oh yeah.
One of the kids rocked the shakshuka, but he didn't like knock it out of the park. It was frustrating because I'm like, oh man, that looks so good.
And they didn't like it?
No, you know what the weird thing about that show is? If you ever watch any of these cooking shows, they're always on a timeline. So you have 40 minutes to do that, this or that. This one kid was always finishing early. But then it's like, then the criticism was always the same thing. You could have cooked it a little bit more. It's like the steak could have gone more. Shakshuka, you could have let the tomatoes cook a little bit more.
But how old? These kids are like, what, 11,
these kids are
12 years old?
like 9 to 12 years old. Exactly. So at the end of the day, like, what are you going to do? But like, the guy's time management was on point, but then every single time, like, he could have cooked it 5 minutes longer, and the guy was done 10 minutes early, and anyways.
That kid didn't end up winning it. The kid will have to learn his lesson.
But I love that. You can't watch one of those shows if you're not, like, if I don't have food
hungry?
In front of me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, those kids were throwing down, but hopefully we do get the shakshuka, because that's like delicious. One of my favorite breakfasts when we have it here. But let's throw it on back to the desk, and well, the market will be delicious and tasty as long as it continues to go higher.
Yes, for sure.
And it certainly will provide you a lot of different flavors depending on what you're looking at for today. And one flavor I want to focus on, if I'll just continue this analogy for a minute here, is semiconductors, because we have a couple different catalysts on a couple different semiconductor names, NVIDIA and Intel specifically. We'll talk about Micron, certainly going to be on the rundown. But in the meantime here, NVDA, Jensen Huang making some comments about China potentially being included in his CPU market opportunity projections.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a contradiction here, guys. Let's get through this. So Jensen, over the weekend, he was out in Taipei, and he announced, look, NVIDIA's now got a $200 billion total addressable market for CPUs, not GPUs. And that's a traditional move away, because this company basically dominates at GPUs. But here's the deal. We know that there is a shift now from, these just large language models giving you a straight answer into a more agentic AI. And that's where CPU comes in, as I've been talking about multiple times on the show. There's a resurgence in CPU demand, NVIDIA looking to take advantage of that. He did also say that he has $20 billion in concrete standalone orders for CPU for the next fiscal year, meaning basically he's captured, if you believe that $20 billion, about 10% of the global CPU market. And just right from the get-go, to take 10% like that. So that's actually quite interesting. But there's also a glaring contradiction, as I mentioned at the top. So NVIDIA's official financial guidance for the next quarter is about $91 billion in revenue. That excludes all China data center compute. However, that $200 billion number I just gave you with respect to CPUs does include China. So there's a bit of a contradiction there when we're actually talking about forecasting revenue, but it also leads to the implication that NVIDIA is actually building out compliant, kind of lower thresholds Vera, right? That's their CPU for the next Vera Rubin chip. He also, Jensen Huang, that is, revealed that the real bottleneck is now actually Beijing when it comes to the H200, because they're still trying to sell that there. As we mentioned multiple times, about 10 Chinese tech firms have gotten the nod from the Commerce Department to buy the H200. Jensen saying basically, look, the regulator in China is trying to buy time. They're trying to buy time for their own domestic alternatives, specifically Huawei, and they're basically blocking these pre-approved Chinese companies from going ahead and buying the H200. Last but not least, Adara, I want to mention here that NVIDIA's aggressive vertical integration is almost a death blow of sorts to the x86 architecture. And that x86 architecture is dominated by two companies, AMD and Intel. And as I mentioned at the top, taking $20 billion of the CPU yearly revenue is 10%. So there could be some competition here between a traditional GPU maker and some CPU makers.
Really interesting stuff there from Jensen, and thank you for bringing it down for us there. Another name here on watch, though, in the chip space is INTC. Now, Intel was, at least at one point here, up pre-market. Looks like we still are for Intel. But they got a downgrade here from Northland, from outperform to market perform. Interestingly enough, they also suspended price targets. They said that even if Intel can actually expand their data center business by 40% year over year in fiscal 2027, they think it's still going to be too expensive. So Northland saying no to Intel here, again, saying that the valuation is basically just too stretched. I mean, how do you guys feel about either INTC, NVIDIA, or the overall chip space this morning?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a crazy argument to say Intel's valuation is stretched, but then you could probably say that about a lot of names. If you're talking about the ability of NVIDIA to sort of do both here, CPUs, GPUs, we saw this with on the call with the big 200 billion opportunity, and it was weird that day that if you're giving the credit for that market continuing to be growth, that on that same day, AMD and Intel were down in the pre-market after NVIDIA earnings, and they both flew. So I'd like the strength that the NVIDIA report put a supercharge in those two names. Unfortunately, it just didn't do it to itself here for NVIDIA. It's basically been slow stair-step down on NVIDIA since earnings, and I think you're getting closer, at least a little bit closer to that point. It was one and a half to 2 weeks, I think, the last couple of quarters where there was selling after the report, and eventually catches a bit of a bid. If you zoom it out a bit further, like the 210 level, like the big drop off here at the end of April kind of gave you a breakout level that's still been supported, and that's about 210, 211. So I think that'd be the spot that I'm looking post earnings for NVIDIA to catch a bid. And when you look at that on the daily chart, there's nothing that you're gonna hate about it. Like, you just go all the way back, that's gonna be the prior October high. So I like the structure of it bouncing off of that level on NVIDIA. Don't know that we'll get there today. You're gonna go from 1% up to 3% down? Nah, I don't really think that's gonna happen on NVIDIA, but this week that's where I'm gonna like to buy. Intel, on the other hand, a little bit of a different story. I know you're gonna get a downgrade on Intel, and obviously downgrades are gonna be negative. Perfectly willing if it fails a break here, 122.5, like the Friday highs, the weekly highs, pop and fade if it's just a topping tail candle. Other than that, I'm looking for 118. Back to back in multiple closes off that level, and then support on Friday at the 118. So that gives a nice little base here for INTC. And valuation, schmaluation, right? Like, is it about valuation for Intel? Is it about valuation for AMD making fresh all-time highs here? No. I mean, it's about everyone chasing growth, and right now CPUs are hot, and both those names are getting the benefit from it.
Yeah, I would say for me on Intel, I mean, it's a 150 PE, so it's obviously going to be, well up there. It's taken the high road, and we just looked at IBM there, and regardless of these downgrades or upgrades or anything like that, I think you do have to be careful with some of the levels that you're approaching now. Like this 125 might be one of those sell areas. I mean, this is Still, Northland downgrade the stock from outperform to market perform. So if we still think there's some love in this market, you still got it. Data centers expecting it to slow a little bit in 2027. Data center spending, I think that makes a little bit of sense as well. I mean, will this CapEx continue to blow out expectations? Maybe. And if it does, and Intel does have some high side. I mean, remember, Intel has, positive talk here with Apple as well. So as Apple continues to go higher, and we still see demand for those Mac Minis and everything like that, and however Intel's involved with Apple keeps on going higher, and so does Intel. So I like both of these names here today. I'm a little more cautious on the space just because of what's been happening right here now, and then even on a stock like an AMD or something when we talk about some of these names that continue to get bumped every single day. AMD's up another 3%. You see, I think it's just a wrong way to short these. I don't think the short is right. For any of these names. You saw Micron, Marvell, both of those names up 7%. So on a downgrade for Intel, I just don't think the story is over. So I'm going to be looking for a long here at some point in Intel. Still up 1%. Where we closed was just south of 120. Maybe we do get a dip buy on some negativity into 120. But hey, I'm a buyer of Intel. I don't think the story is going anywhere. Let's go see if the story's staying the same on the options side of things with Joe at the board.
All right, guys, good morning. Let's take a look at some of the options activity from Friday, guys. No session yesterday. So we're going to be looking at a lot of names and a lot of deep in the money contracts here. We're going to kick things off with AMD at the top of our list, $485 mark. Just to be clear, guys, this is just where we're seeing the most amount of open interest and how we can base trades off of these specific levels. Now, guys, $485. Crazy here for AMD. That's going to be expiring on the 29th. Open interest, relatively cool. I expect that after the open, these numbers are going to have a pretty drastic uptick. All right, guys, open interest sitting 1,000 there, and then volume around 1,680 open and closed contracts at that $480 marker. Now, as for ARM, $11 in the money from where we're currently trading right now. That's going to be at that $300 strike price. Open interest at 4,200 contracts still open, and then we had 5,110 open and closed on Friday's session. Now, as for Marvell, yes, Sean, that's right. 205 continuing to climb here. We have 2,360 contracts still currently open at that level. Expect these numbers to change after the open, and then volume sitting around 3,310. Moving forward, a potential target for USO here, guys. We're going to be looking at USO at that $130 strike price on the put side. So there could be a potential floor there, but we can also see some form of a magnet effect with this open interest in USO going down all the way to 130. Now, as for the bid and the ask, relatively wide, guys are sitting around a $14 spread or $24 spread there. But I want us to take a look at the contract itself. It's relatively choppy, right? This is going to be extremely difficult to navigate, especially if you're going the scalping route via options, all right? So we want to avoid this and just stick with the actual underlying itself. Now, as for the delta, guys, we're sitting around that $18 metric and $2 on your gamma side. If this does happen to get closer to in the money when you're at the open, you will see an increase in both of those Greeks. Now, as for the at the money IV, sitting around 83.7%. Let's keep an eye out for some of these levels here today, guys.
Oh, you make people happy with puts on on oil. I'll tell you that much. As long as we can continue that trend, I think we are looking good to go. If you know what, when I shouldn't say if, when eventually we start to really break this upward trend, you could really see, and it'll probably take something more definitive in terms of a deal. Like if Iran comes around and says, okay, uranium stockpile, whatever, no straight toll. Those things happen, you break this trend, and then it's precipitously to the downside for USO. And then watch out, and we were just talking about some of the metals, and I know it's when you're talking about energy, it's not the same thing, but remember what that's gonna do to the dollar if you get that pullback. That'll be strength for gold and silver. And what I like about SLV is it's just been holding that line with a bit of a reverse head and shoulders support at 65. That can be a bit of a breakaway if and when that does happen, that 50-period break. We're just not there yet. Like, we're just waiting for the right headline, I think, and there's nothing wrong with being patient. The good news is, while you're patiently waiting for maybe that to give some weakness there, to give some strength to other places in the market, you've had plenty of other rallies and runners to go here, which is crazy. Like that WULF apparently is going again. Oh,
that's a good one.
There's a lot of runners. Like WULF just made it. Yeah, WULF just made some fresh highs again. So like, there's so much moving here. Like, you don't have to worry, but we are going to break down that 50 period on USO. It's more or less a matter of time. When that happens, I think you're going to get a secondary rally in the metals as the USD comes down.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about SOXL? I mean, I didn't even realize Joe was talking about all those calls in this space. Thanks for the Marvell shout out. But there goes SOXL. Like, this was 150 4 days ago. Now it's 210, up 10%. We saw all that call action, AMD, Marvell, NVDA, Broadcom. You know, they're all getting bids. I mean, Micron, SanDisk, everything today catching a bid. So there goes SOXL up 10% and breaking. Like, wow, what an absolute monster. Talk about, like, sitting here and just watching paint dry, not that at all for SOXL. That just has been an absolute monster. This was 50, and I know it's triple levered, it's very risky. I don't think it's an investment product, but if you're playing the momentum, oh my. This was 50, 40, let's call it what it is, man. This was $40 March 31st. Okay, you're at 209 right now, a 5-bagger in the space. So are we coming back in? I mean, you might have thought so right around there, but then the breakout happens today. So this to me is risk on all day, man. We want to buy some Apple, we want to buy some SoFi, I want to buy some SMR, and I want to buy pretty much, as I just said, I'm not shorting Intel into this kind of a move. Even though it looks like it wants to pull back, wait for a little bit of a pull down. But yeah, let's trade the SOXL a little bit to the long side here today. Pick your poison with what name you want to get. I don't know if Marvell falls in today, but I think I really, really enjoy trading that name a little bit there. But then there it goes. The TQQs as well. If we like the SOXL, the NASDAQ's going to be bumped up today as well. So there goes another 3.5% in this space. And look at the NASDAQ. It's just an absolute monster. And same kind of ways, right? This is triple levered, 38 up to $80. So we're really starting to go now. And I don't think there's anything slowing this down. We talked about where oil is potentially going. That might be coming down, which should be good for the market. Kevin Warsh is now in. That should be good for... Now, look, the data is not going to tell us that we're getting any sort of a rate cut anytime soon. But, the Fed rate watch is now on. We've got 22 days. I'm going to have to refresh this. And we're not going to get a cut. We know that. But if anything, we have a 2% chance of a rate hike. But we're still staying put, right? So if we believe that this AI race is still early days, then it's a NASDAQ trade, it's a SOXL trade. And then also I was looking today at the US dollar, and although that hasn't been doing much, looked like it was starting to tick a little bit higher. We have a 99 handle on that. So we'd like to see it, sort of reject in and around this $100 area to 101 to keep the dollar down for more tech run. And so we'll just see if that one wants to keep kicking out as well. Have not broke above. And, if they raise the rates, I could see, the dollar starting to go to the high side a little bit there as nervous hands come back into the market and they want to, get back into the U.S. dollar. That could create, U.S. dollar strength, which, not necessarily the worst thing for some of these companies. Remember, they're also sitting on a boatload of cash. So, raising of the rates doesn't necessarily hurt. I'm still looking for a story behind SoFi. I have SoFi written as a long on here. If we can get back into $16, this is going to be, my number one trade idea here today, but SoFi up another 5. And I don't really see, I know I don't have crypto, it's supposed to be right here. I'm sorry I wasn't showing it. It's not really moving around too much there. So Robinhood only up 1.5. It's SoFi up 4.5, keeps going higher. And we saw Anthony Noto talking a little bit over the weekend on some podcasts, but he's always liked this stock. So, we'll have to, yeah, he's one of those CEOs that has no problem saying that he's dropping in, 25,000 shares here, there, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm trying to dip by 5 shares at a time. This guy's dropping, much bigger numbers than that. $16 for SoFi. Let's see if it pulls back. So, anyways, that's what we're talking about. Ooh, a super chat already. Here we go.
JKL in the house.
Ooh, uncomfortable.
Feeling uncomfortable. Oh,
long.
Uncomfortable with the Microsoft long. Hey, it's
I don't like
it's consolidating here on Microsoft. You get a little value. right? Beaten up a little bit. The software has been hated on so much, and it's better to go sideways and down. I get it. There's nobody that wouldn't be disappointed in Microsoft relative to what the rest of the market is seeing. But we've seen a bit of a theme here. Strength came first when it came to all the names that got beaten up with this whole the whole Claude mess, and AI is going to destroy everybody. You saw it come back into the cybersecurity names, right? You saw CrowdStrike and Palo Alto and Fortinet have just been going absolutely ham. But in a broader sense, just looking at the IGV and the software ETF, that's also been breaking back out. So you have some movement back. The money's coming back over here. It just hasn't really flowed towards Microsoft yet. It's still in that consolidative phase. Another name that I keep putting into the same bucket where it's just not really getting going yet would be like Palantir, and Palantir is another example here. Like it's trying to, I didn't really draw that very well, connect it better. It's trying to break out the trend, get above the 50 itself. So I think Microsoft sits in that bucket of trying to continue the comeback. And if you're interested in what it did in Blue Ocean overnight, you could look. I'm not going to, that was an accident. So I think you just need to break out that 430. We saw last week when they had a positive headline, it went right into the 430 level, failed it pretty heavily, and just back into more sideways action. So you know where the selling is. It's in that 30 to 32 range. Once you chew through that, the stock is probably like a release valve is going to go on it. And then for your MSTR, I guess you're not uncomfortable with that short, because I feel like JKL, that's just been sitting here every single day last week. Resistance in the high 160s. On Friday, it finally fell apart and lost a bid. Well, Bitcoin does pretty much nothing off of these levels. You're just seeing continued weakness in MSTR, which, yeah, I can't see anything wrong if you're still sitting in that one to the south side. That looks pretty good. Microsoft, why not? I don't see why it can't get going. The rest of the IGV is starting to go, so Microsoft is going to have its turn potentially soon. The market's not going to go up forever without Microsoft eventually breaking out. You're starting to see some of the release from some of the names that got beaten up the most. With this whole AI is going to ruin everything for software play. And some of the names have bounced back better than others, but if you're not making fresh lows, that's the first start. And I think Microsoft's already done that. That looks so good.
Let's talk about one name certainly not making fresh lows. I know you mentioned this, Neil, because it's kind of continued this trajectory to the upside. Broke this news here around 8 a.m. when it came out, but just a reminder here with WULF, there is some news here on TeraWulf. They have a 31% short float for one, but in terms of the actual catalyst announcement, they're acquiring a hyperscale, high-performance computing development facility here in eastern Kentucky. I believe they start to get power in that second half of 2028. Remainder should be coming online here second half of 2030. Let's talk here, though, about PONY, because Pony AI reported earnings before the bell here today, Sharif. Kind of mixed report, but outlook here kind of exciting.
The outlook is quite aggressive. We're going to have about 3,500 autonomous vehicles.
Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Looking to have about 3,500 autonomous vehicles in play on the road by the end of the year. They've got about 3,000 right now, and that would surpass, the 1,700 currently in operation. They also got a good move up here in their revenue, $34.3 million in Q1 revenue. That is up from $15.5 million last year. Oh, sorry, that's the total combined revenue. And the way they're bringing it in is they're actually a licensing business as well. $15.5 million under that business, but they also have the robotaxi fare, which brought in about 8.6. So licensing still bringing in more money from them on that top line than the actual robotaxi business are running. But, with a business like this, especially very early on, you're burning through a lot of cash, and that's exactly what's happening here. About $50.5 million in cash burn. That is up from the 43 they spent last year, so investors need to be wary of that. But to combat the massive cash burn, they're also, I should say, projecting the total number of manufacturing costs, or the total manufacturing costs, I should say, to actually drop pretty aggressively, about 230,000 yuan per vehicle. Currently, that's about $38,850. That would be about 33% lower than what they're actually incurring right now. So let's see if they can kind of take advantage of some economies of scale, Adara, and get that price down.
Yeah, great look here for Robotax to play PONY. They're trying to break out this pre-market high of 1050. Sean, are you looking at this or any potential sympathy plays here for PONY?
It's interesting because they have that earnings report. It's only an 8% short flow. TeraWulf's actually a little more exciting because of the fact that you have a 30% short float on that one. But yeah, you know, hey, if they like the earnings, a little bit of an earnings surprise there. It's trying to break through that. It does break through that $10 mark. Now through the 50-period moving average. I mean, you asked about in this space. I mean, there's a lot of different AI names that are starting to go. You know, when we play on earnings, obviously this is a little bit of an extended move. I don't think anyone was expecting 18%. If anything, maybe 18% the other way, as it's been getting hit. So there it goes. We always say when there's a gap, you play it right back into VWAP. So right there, $10 looks like a good area to think about holding for Pony. Have we been here before? Yeah, man. I mean, we've had some huge moves up and some big moves back down as well. But there's 10. So just trying to hold it right here. That's this sort of that wick bottom is 10. We've got 10 into here as well. Those are more like 10.50 to $11. So yeah, this looks like it wants to mature up through 11 and see if we can wind up holding here for Pony. So I'm going to try to think about a long. You know, generally I don't want to drop it until we get through the 200 period moving average. So that's sitting down here at $9.60. I don't think it's an all go until we actually get some sort of a base developing right here. It looks like we tried to break back down through 10.25. We did not. So I do like that upside there for Pony. And then, yeah, there goes TeraWulf. I mean, we've sort of indicated this name back in the low teens. And it was, I guess it was right back into here, $20. And then we finally came back. Yeah, this is where it was, actually. It was this break right here that I remember we had talked about. There was a nice gap fill, and then we kept on extending over, and TeraWulf came back in and gave us an opportunity to buy it down there at $20. Sometimes it's the sum of the parts, right? You don't always need to be in all these big, huge trades. Sometimes it's these smaller guys that extend out. And so, yeah, 26 break here on Wolf today with that kind of a short float. I like that opportunity. So time to get going. I put some money into Samsara IoT, but I like TeraWulf into here, breaking through that 26 mark, and we'll see if it can get going on a short float. So, yeah, this name to me looks a little more interesting because you have that top there at 26, plus it can get going, plus it has some decent volume here today. But Pony with a good level, still under 1 million shares. We'll see if it holds $10 there on Pony and on TeraWulf. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on Pony there. I know we're going to go to
Very
Joe.
genuine move, a genuine move on Pony, for sure.
It's riding higher up there?
It's definitely riding. It's definitely riding higher. No, I think Wolf does look better. Look, ultimately, Wolf's it's a better looking chart. I think maybe a little bit better of a story. But, you know, you could do worse than closing above the 50 and getting going here on Pony. Like, you just, like, starting today, and maybe it'll pick up on volume. Like, since I called it up, I haven't really seen much of any printing. Like, there's just, like, small prints going off. And when you look at a gapper that's up 18% at 842, usually expecting to see a little bit more activity. Even has, like, a couple cent worth of a spread. So I think between the two of them, I know Wolf isn't nearly up as much, but you are getting like a local breakout, which on trend looks like why not be heading toward the highs. So just maybe a little bit better of a look by Wolf, but it's not a huge difference. As a matter of fact, when I call this up, it has a 7-cent spread too. So both of them have a bit of a spread. You're gonna want that to condense a little bit as we get a little bit closer to the open. But if you're a gapper trader, both above VWAP, both trending higher. So I know that puts it on the watch list, at least, of Sharif, for sure. So those ones do look good. Although I see somebody has matriculated their way over to the desk. And I wonder if that doesn't mean we're going to get some market upgrades and downgrades. Who could get downgraded on a morning like today?
How dare they?
I don't know.
All right, guys, welcome. Let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some upgrades. We're going to start off with OKTA, Okta here, guys, up 2.1%, but going from a sell to a buy with a $127 price target. We also have MU on the list. You're up 6% more, closer to 7 here, guys. Going from a neutral to a buy by UBS Group. No specific target here, guys. And then Uber finally getting some positivity up under its belt with a buy rating up 0.5%. BTIG Research giving them the nod. And then Eli Lilly also holding its buy rating, guys. You're up 1.2%. Bank of America giving them the nod this morning. Now we're going to take a look at some downgrades. Futu holding still positive, 6% almost, but going from a buy to a neutral weight here, and a price target decrease almost slashed in half from $210.47 to $102.13, guys, by Goldman Sachs. And then we also have Kosan here, 1.5% to the top side, but going from a hold to reduce, and a $3.20 price target all the way down from $5. HSBC giving them that downgrade. Now Expand Energy going from an equal overweight to equal weight with a $110 price target. You're down 0.6%, a little bit more. And then we also have Semtech, positive here, guys, 5% to the top side, but going from an outperform to a market perform by Northland. That is your analyst actions here this morning.
Upgrade for Uber. Okay, you know what?
Finally.
I wasn't expecting that one, to be honest with you. Like their delivery, they're potentially raising their bid on Delivery Hero, which, I mean, is not really boding terribly well for them. If they got to go higher, the market's never, if the market already doesn't like a stock and you can kind of see what's going on here, then if you're going to make an acquisition and it's going to be at a higher cost than expected or higher than before, that's generally going to be seen as bad news. So I looked at Uber on that story and was saying, look at the support at 73, look at it break on Friday, look at the resistance at 73, short 73 on Uber. That's like the short idea that I came in with. Losing the 50-period moving average. So yes, it got an upgrade, but I look at the technical side, and then I look at this Delivery Hero story and see that as like a short-term weight on the back of Uber until at least they say, okay, we're not raising. Maybe they decide to back away there. But if they do, I would expect the stock to go down. We've already seen that play out multiple times, right? If you just keep raising the bid on an acquisition, the market tends to just sort of punish you, especially whenever you're buying something when the market's at all-time highs. The perception that you're paying too much is just going to be out there regardless. So yeah, they got an upgrade, but that doesn't really matter too much to me today.
Yeah, I was looking at, I was always thinking about Lyft versus Uber. I mean, I was not super impressed with obviously the Uber prices, what's been happening over there. And you can see what's been happening to Lyft, starting to get going just a little bit off that $13 mark. And wasn't sure where Uber would bottom, but Lyft is at least giving us something. So right into here, $13 has been a good level to look at Lyft. So now it's trying to get going there. You don't have, you know, like you said, that Delivery Hero and different things underneath of Lyft. It's almost more of a pure play into the autonomous side of things. So yeah, I think that this is maybe a little bit of a better play. Sorry, maybe not better, but a safer play as you have that bottom in and around $13 there for Lyft. So I do like that one. I thought maybe Alibaba and some of those Chinese names. Did I hear Alibaba was downgraded there? But let's see, flat here today. Yeah, Alibaba, just one of those. We saw Futu get hit there on regulation concerns. That's the big worry about Chinese names. And I was going to say the Chinese ETF here. FXI had a move last week as well. So this might be the space to look at if you're trying to pick up some Chinese weakness, because then you're not picking individual names and you maybe don't have to suffer through like that TIGR or that Futu. And that was, again, restrictions from the government coming through on some of those shipping companies. But good levels down here for $35, right? If you think that China is eventually going to get settled out. I think that's going to be next on the docket. I mean, obviously you have tariffs. Right now it's the war, and then we'll get back to that tariff talk after the war, if that is a thing. So I like FXI down here in and around that $35 mark. Feel like individual names. I do like Alibaba. We've seen some good numbers out of Neo lately, but they bounced off 5 and got to 7 or so almost, and then right back in again. Yeah, so here's 5. There's that breakout. Yeah, exactly up to 7, and now it's pulling back in. So this is coming into some interesting levels here. If you believe in some of the Chinese automakers potentially, having some sort of an impact here in Canada, I don't know. But until they onboard in the United States, which doesn't seem like it's happening, these names still continue to be, dip buys, I would say, until we break lower. So you're getting into that area one more time for NIO. So this could be an interesting level there for NEO as we get ready to see what sort of impact the Chinese EVs have as they approach North American and European markets. So NEO up 2.5% today is catching a nice little bid. And then, we talked a little bit about Tesla earlier, and, up to 430, trying to catch some bids. The rumor is, of course, that SpaceX and Tesla eventually merge, which gets people, all excited about potentially buying some SpaceX shares. And I wonder if people will switch out of Tesla and into SpaceX once that IPO happens. So we'll have to wait to see if this 440 winds up being that sort of area of resistance, which it's been. I guess it's been more like 450. So we'll see if we can get back up to there and climb a little bit higher. I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe dividing up your shares. If you have 100 shares of Tesla, let's just say if you have $5,000 in Tesla, you put 2,500 into the SpaceX IPO, sell your Tesla shares a couple days before, get into SpaceX, and then ride that up for a couple percentage points. You might get a little bit more alpha on that trade than you would sitting in Tesla. So I wonder if that's going to be something that traders are going to talk about.
I think so.
All right.
I think everyone seems to think that eventually down the line they're going to merge. And so as long as it's even out there, the idea that you can get a merger, and then throw in the fact that there's going to be plenty of people that just don't want to pony up whatever the crazy price ends up being. And who knows? I don't know where the SpaceX IPO is going to go. I'm making the assumption it's going to be a crazy price. I just feel like that's going to be par for the course. It'll be somewhat not untenable, but seen as overvalued by a lot, and kind of like this Cerebus, we'll probably look at it as like, oh my goodness, what is even going on here? But you'll have others that say, okay, well maybe if you get into Tesla, knowing that at some point, maybe at the end of the year, maybe next year, who knows, there could be a merger that can be some way to get exposure. And Tesla's quietly looking okay today. You look at the end of last week, it was pretty strong going into the close. It held on to 420 at the open. So, okay, well, I guess that's a good thing because that was always the psychological level for the stock. And kind of triple topped up here at 32. We're consolidating. This one's set for one of the cleaner, if it breaks 32, that's just kind of like a breakout trade, room to 36 and then room to 444 after that. So I like that consolidation you're seeing up here in Tesla. But I'd be of the mind that there will be buyers in that stock thinking that long-term they're going to get a little bit of SpaceX. Dave Z, Siamese, thank you for the super chat there, Dave. Good morning, TraderTV Live community. Personally, without naming it, one stock with a lot of options volume, get into calls at different levels than tilapia and chill.
I don't think, if you have tilapia, you might not be chilling, but you might be chilling on somewhere else. Maybe
fish tacos.
The porcelain, fish tacos are delicious.
They weren't tilapia, but without naming it, one stock with lotto options volume getting into calls.
And you can see if Joe, I don't know what he was talking about there.
I don't know, are we supposed to guess what stock we're talking about here?
I would say,
space related, probably. If you're thinking something with a lot of volatility in it, it's got to be in the space today. Maybe some of the nuclear names. I don't know. We're just guessing here.
I was gonna say maybe even SoFi. Maybe I think that SoFi has some retail action, and I don't know if I haven't looked at the calls or the volume there on the bids and the asks of SoFi, but I think this name could get going. So I don't know which name you're talking about there, but it could be crypto related, could definitely be space related, energy related as far as nuclear names as well. But I think SoFi has some bids underneath of it, so that's gonna be my number one trade. I'm just working on the note. It's gonna be out momentarily. It's 8:52 right now. What name do you guys think David's potentially talking about there? Lots of call options, lots of volume and volatility. Anything coming to or even Joe, anyone got any ideas there? Let's go back to the big desk. Adara, throw a name at us.
It's kind of a long shot, but I think it's Micron. I could, of course, totally be wrong, but I could totally see there being a lot of call volume. Again, not an options trader, but just Micron hype. What about you, Sharif?
I wasn't sure what we're talking about, so I can't comment.
Well, we'll talk now here about BP. I can say that for sure, because this individual, his name is Albert Manifold. He was just ousted here as the chair and director of the company, and he was only really here from July 2025, so not too long of a tenure. BP, not a name we talk about a lot, but Sharif, decent volume and big move down on this stock.
And a string of sudden management of removals, the last being September of 23, when the board removed the CEO at the time, Bernard Looney, for what they're calling a lack of transparency regarding workplace relationships. So in this specific instance, BC's board unanimously removed its chairman, Albert Manifold. The effect is immediately, and the reason is serious concerns. A little bit of digging here to find out what the serious concerns were. They refused here flat out to elaborate with the Wall Street Journal, who was the source of this article, basically relying on their umbrella phrase, unacceptable governance, oversight, and conduct issues. No more specificity other than that. But shares are down on that, of course. Now, he was, this individual here, Albert Manifold, he was put in to kind of reinvigorate the petrol business, the oil business, the fossil fuel business of BP, pardon me, where they had previously tried to, you know, umbrella over into renewables. So this isn't about that, actually. It has nothing to do with the course of the company, as the CEO, who's still in her place, came out and said, look, no, we're still full steam ahead with respect to the reinvigoration of our fossil fuel business. So it looks like it's just isolated to him, Adara.
Yeah, interesting look here for BP. Do you guys think this is an Albert Manifold catalyst, or is this just, you know, quick one-time drop and maybe we recover?
Well, you have to put it in the context of oil's dropping too. So, you know, if it's more than a one-time drop, some of it's going to have to do with that as well. We already pointed to USO threatening to break some trend to the downside. You could look at, you know, I could pull up like XOM or CVX, and you'd see maybe not a ton of weakness, better looking charts, but you're going to see a little bit of weakness pulling back in here. Like there's XOM probably pulling back to support its own, actually losing the 50 period. Didn't even realize that. So XOM is also losing the 50 period. So if there's some weakness there and more weakness fundamentally here, that actually looks not bad to maybe even do some continuation there. But if you're trading an oil name, you gotta be focused in on oil futures, and right now they're a little bit flat with a bit of a gap down. So as long as the trend from last week continues, I don't see a reason why BP wouldn't sell off. Not the best look in the world for them, and you were already heading into weakness. So yeah, volume is pretty solid here on BP. Done 1.8 million shares. Maybe this, I don't know, if you're looking for a weakness play in energy, you could do a lot worse than I'm already having a negative story here in addition to it. We got Riley with a super chat. Thoughts on Nokia? Lots of talk about it lately, recent NVIDIA investment and an insider buy. Nokia's been very quietly. Maybe it's not that quietly, I don't know. It seems like it's been quietly here, because often there's just a bunch of other names that get talked about. And on Friday, it was an absolute flyer through, and chart speaks for itself. So it's making a fresh breakout today. I don't know what makes it stand out above a wealth of other breaks or strong stocks this morning, really. But you could do a heck of a lot worse than Nokia. If it can get, all it really needs to do is hold. I was about to say it needs to get above like 15.8, but it just needs to hold above there off the open, and then you're getting a double top breakout. For now, you guys can see what that topping tail wick looks like, right? Like we've basically had one little run here. Ignore this dark pool wick. You've had like one little run at the prior high, pull back. Now you're trying to chew through. So you do want to see the opening range hold through the top. But yeah, Nokia has been absolutely fine. Like, they've been trending up precipitously. Like this and BlackBerry have been two incredibly impressive charts that don't maybe get enough due.
Yeah, I mean, this has been part of the whole story here, right? I mean, yeah, there's been no deal for a very long time with Iran, if that's what you're talking about. I mean, as far as investments are concerned, I think President Trump has, you know, talked about buying Intel, and I feel like if you've been following some of those trades, have been working well, Dell, Intel, to just name a few. But yeah, oil, I wouldn't really base anything on what you're hearing out of the White House right now. I mean, you got to get that deal signed if there is one, and the Strait of Hormuz back opened up. So I think the minute you start hearing about ships going through safely with safe passage, that, you know, both the Iranian side, the blockade, and the U.S. blockade are starting to let some ships go through without charging like an enormous tax on them or whatever, then that's maybe when you start to get going. But I feel like you're right. You don't need to, I mean, look at the SP 500, right? You know, we talked about where the earnings are coming from, and they're still strong. So regardless of what the president is saying right now about Iran or anything really, about Warsh, about, you know, whatever, the market is giving you a different story now. So it's just like, this is 500 of the top companies. So they're, 400 of them are going to be isolated from, anything in Iran, most likely. I mean, I don't know, I'm throwing that number out, who knows. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of names that are going to continue to create business and create some wealth in your portfolio, and the S&P 500 continues to go out at all-time highs right now today, despite everything we're hearing out of the government and out of the White House on both sides. Canadian, everywhere, there might be some trouble brewing underneath. We talked about the jobs and whatnot, but if you look at the TSX here in Canada, it's at all-time highs. So is the S&P 500, as is the NASDAQ, the IWM. Obviously, Bitcoin has a ways to go. We've seen gold and silver pull back, and oil still remaining quite high as well. So as long as you're invested in this market, I think you've been okay to trust, what's been happening out of the White House. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that, all these reports back and forth are always going to be accurate. So it's been a good time for your investments. If you're getting nervous about them, I think it's nothing wrong with getting out, getting into some cash. Rates aren't going lower right now. Get that 3 or 4% safety net if you were. Or what about a name like a Procter & Gamble that's going to pay you right now at 20 times earnings, give you a dividend of 3 or 4%. And, there's the earnings play right there that I'm talking about. If you think the PE is getting extended on the S&P 500 because some of these names, AI names, then pick a name that's sort of isolated from that trade and still trading at a good valuation. Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, both names that, I've been thinking about dipping into and still hold a piece in my portfolio. So I like both of these names to fight sort of that worry of, maybe higher oil for longer, what to do about this AI trade. There's a couple of good names. And even last week, Walmart had a teen on it, and close enough to it. It was 119 or 120 last week. And that might be worthy of something. I know the valuation's still high on Walmart, but, people still got to buy groceries. And if we are a little worried about the economy, do not more people trade down in their lifestyle? If we're living paycheck to paycheck, that should be a Walmart winner. So this is another name to potentially get into, as I did sell some Target last week at 2 weeks ago at 121, and that's still actually holding up as well. So still lots of stuff happening, lots of propaganda being thrown around by everybody, and that's where you want to try to separate the noise from the reality, right? And the S&P is still ticking out higher on great earnings. So I don't know what kind of earnings we have today or anything like that, but Zscaler. Okay, so that's going to be an AI name as well. So we'll have to wait to see how that one reports. But all right, that's it. I mean, it's 9:01 right now. We got the watch list. You can go grab that watch list ASAP. The link is in description. We're going to have that rundown. Anybody that's a member currently gets Sharif's morning note as well. So if you're a member for $5 a month, you can go get that. It's 10, 15 pages of detailed explanation on some of the names that we're going to cover right about now at the big desk with Adara and Sharif.
745 3/4, guys, is where we close out on Friday on the SPY. We are markedly above that right now. In fact, we've taken out 750 for the first time ever, at least on a closing basis on the 4-hour chart here, up 750.93, so almost at 751. I don't think we're far enough away from 750 to say, hey, look, we're going to start using that $10 level as support. So what we're going to say is 745, Friday's closing print. We start selling off, people start taking profits. We're looking to that $45 area as support. If we really start catching a bid here, look, Adara, we're looking at 755 as resistance.
Lots to get into today on this rundown, so be sure to follow along by grabbing our Trader TV Live watch list. Now, as Sean mentioned, link in the description. You can also look at the URL code on your screen, guys. This comes straight into your inbox every single day the markets are open. It has earnings on watch. It has news stories to follow. It has economic data, so check that out right there. Speaking of economic data, one thing that was on the morning watch list today was that Case-Shiller 20-year year-over-year price index coming in at 0.83% at 9 a.m., so a little bit lower here than the forecast of 0.9% and the prior print of 0.9%. We're going to get CB consumer confidence coming in at 10 a.m. Now that we've done that housekeeping, though, let's talk about USO, because big drop here in USO, even as this conflict really does seem to continue. Lots of back and forth here and lots of confusion as to potential deal.
Yeah, we'll have to find out how this all goes over, guys. A very headline-driven news story, so be on the lookout for that. Anything can change at a moment's notice. What we did see on the weekend, though, was the resumption of strikes, the U.S. characterizing those strikes as defensive in nature, targeting essentially the speedboats that are laying down mines, as well as other missile launch infrastructure is the way they described it there. Separately, of course, on Capitol Hill, we've been hearing a lot about Republicans running out of patience with this war, with President Trump basically trying to tie up the knot with the Democrats to invoke the War Powers Act and put that to President Trump. So we'll have to see if that gets enough votes to survive a veto.
And interesting too, of course, Iran Foreign Ministry spokesperson fighting back here, saying that the U.S. has violated the ceasefire and that Iran will respond and not hesitate to defend itself. USO, guys, or any market strength because of USO? What's on watch for you?
Well, I mean, if some sort of resolution isn't reached soon, Europe is already signaling a lot of trouble with supply. You know, in Asia, it's a concern as well. So, we're teetering here. The market might not seem to care too much about it in an overall sense because the tech names have been able to hold everything together for the overall market. But it can't go on forever. All of that being said, for right now, we are in a pullback. Like we're down 3.5 points, not up, despite the strike, right? Like if we push higher, we're pushing in the prior support, and that turns into a resistance spot, and you can get some kind of a bounce if the market decides that it wants to pull back here, which it hasn't so far today. But that's where I'm at for all. Barring something changing, the overall reaction has been nice relief. So if we do pound higher, it's got to get through 39.40 to make me a little bit more concerned, and that's just not where we're at. So yeah, we'll keep our ears to the ground, and maybe there's something that spikes and shocks us. But all last week we're more or less in a downtrend, and we get continuation here despite these defensive strikes over the weekend. You're still getting continuation to the downside. So I want to play any pops for weakness in USO, and look for those spots to be adding to, dip buys on longs, which today you're looking at the chip space, and well, you can see it right there, literally chip space nuclear, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be lots to talk about here, but yeah, as far as USO is concerned, I think it's the same type of thing. I think we short this. Underneath some of these levels right now, here's your 50 period, the 200 period moving average on your 5-minute chart. It's been downside pressure right there. We'll see if we can get above this 144. That, to me, is an area. I don't have it. People asking what's on the sticky note. I just put it up right now there today. We're going to go over it all today. But SoFi long, Apple long. SMR is already in this area right now, so 1175. So let's see if it winds up holding on Oklo news. We talked about the government stepping in and getting into some nuclear right there. So I want to see if SMR holds. We can go over and trade Oklo for sure instead of SMR. I'm actually feeling like you should have put Oklo there. And then the TQ is down there at 79, so you can go find that out. Link is in, I'll put it back, is in the chat right now. But yeah, for me, oil, I still think is a short. So we'll have to wait to see if it comes in. But yeah, why not just wait and be patient for this 140 area right there? Sorry, that's what I'm talking about, the 50 period. That's your 200 period there. I don't think we get up to 144, but that's been good sell area. So why not look now at 140? We sort of bounced off there a little bit last week. We'll see if it wants to hold that. You still got to go up $2 from here. But hey, on some sort of a story, right? Maybe there's some more fighting or whatever in the Gulf there, some more drones, some more mines being dropped, and that sort of drifts us a little bit higher, and then we look to fade in and around this 50-period moving average. I got to do it on some sort of technicals rather than just try to play the back and forth stories. There hasn't really been like a huge story in a long time that has spiked oil dramatically one way or the other. This is the close of the oil market there on Friday. It was giving us that big volume spike. But other than that, little stories like this started last Friday off the open, a little bit of a drift higher. So if we get something like that, 140 up to 143, that's $3 higher. I like that short if we can get $3 higher now into 140 again. So we'll have to wait. It's still a ways away, but if we can get up to 140, I think that's a short. And then we just wait for more news to get it energized a bit. But yeah, fading out right now, energy seems like a smart thing instead of trying to dip by. All the stories seem to be getting better, not worse. Fingers crossed.
Let's talk here about MU, a story that is certainly getting better, especially if you listen to UBS with a massive, more than $1,600 price target today.
Yeah, Timothy Crude, or whatever his name is, raising the price target to a street high of $1,625. That implies a valuation, guys, of 1.8 trillion. And nobody was talking about this, but this stock is now on the door of $1 trillion market valuation. We're in the high 900s right now. Keep an eye out on that. They're projecting a multi-year EPS explosion here, saying that EPS for Micron is going to stay comfortably above $100 for the foreseeable future. In fact, guiding $155 EPS for 2027, $167 for 28, and then down $77 in 2029 as inventory pressures ease. Also, historic cash generation. They've generated over $400 million in free cash flow, or projected to, pardon me, between calendar years 27 to 29. That would be a first for that specific industry. And their long-term agreements. We often talked about these LTAs from Apple's perspective and how they helped Apple navigate the increase in RAM prices. But that, by the same token, is actually helping Micron lock in higher prices for long. In fact, they're saying 30% of their agreements right now are locked into these LTAs at just below market price for RAM, which is obviously very historically elevated. So what does that do? That creates a bit of a price floor for Micron for the foreseeable future, and that's why you're seeing this analyst guide about 3 to 4 years down the line.
Yeah, lots of strength across the board here for these DRAM and memory type plays. SNDK also at highs, guys, pre-market. WDC trading near highs as well. How do you guys feel about Micron and the like?
Well, Micron seems to want to break out. This is all, like, it's all green in this gap up. It feels like a dangerous chase, but if we go out back to the middle of the month, like this 816 level does, excuse me, provide you with an all-time high breakout for Micron. Up 8% going into that, though. Like, the first thought is, like, right away, look at the trend up into that. Like, I could see it doing like a false break and pull back. There was a lot of selling on Friday in this name going into the close. So I think that relieved some of the pressure, but I still feel like, is it really going to be as simple as giving you that clean of a top break on Micron? I'm tending to think no, and you're going to get a dip first. But the name of the chip plays already went over Intel. Kind of like them, like that support at the 118 level. So I feel like I'm going to be a buyer there looking for dips. You want to see this hold on to the 800. VWAP's nice, but you already had like a pre-market top there, a little consolidation on the way up at 800. I think that would be a good spot to hold up before you get that all-time high break on Micron. And everyone that keeps doubting this, or I don't know, you could throw SNDK. You always say this or SNDK and never really talk about like some of the other names, like WDC get some credit as well. Whether you're talking about Micron or SNDK, like it just always seems like it's a matter of time before they get back to the high. Pull back 20%, in a week and a half, you're right back into breakout territory for these memory chip names. It's just, they're not being stopped right now.
Look, we're the ones, talk about, I think we're just going to piggyback off that sentiment. We all made picks early in January about what we thought could run this year. No one picked Micron or SanDisk or WDC or anything like that. The name that I picked Marvell, and Sharif picked Broadcom. Those names are obviously starting to go as well. But what I'm trying to piggyback on is the fact that no one ever believes that this name could keep on going higher. And even when it's down like this, hands up, did anyone even buy this dip? That was down to 700. Now you're up to 813 again. I just feel like it's a loved and hated name at the same time. Like, people just can't believe that this name keeps on going higher. And I feel like you always are not on board with it. And it just is an absolute monster. So I would say stop doubting this name, man. It just keeps on going higher and higher and higher. For me, we've actually made quite a decent trade with Marvell, and this name just keeps on ticking higher as well. And I don't think it's, I remember sitting here talking about this when we picked this back in January, all the way back, forget about January, let's talk about, early last year when we were talking about the guts and the brains of the operation are these GPUs, but you got to hook it all up, man. You got to get those photonics, you got to get the copper wiring, you got to get the data transfer, you got to get the custom ASICs. So there it goes, man. Marvell just kicking higher, and I think this is a dip buy anywhere near VWAP as well. So 207 to 208, there goes Marvell, an absolute monster of a name. And, every time I hit the sell button, which hasn't been in a hell of a long time, thankfully, it seems to be wrong. We sold some ARM. Oh, here's another one. We sold some ARM at 297. That's at 313. We just did this last week. And I'm actually putting some money to use today. I'm going to try to see if I can buy some more SoFi and buy some SMR today as well. But, you know, got out of some ARM. That's still going higher. And Marvell's that same story. So I don't know when we're eventually going to be tapping out of some of this. But, wow, what a ride it's been for Marvell. You know, we're still long in this name, 60, 70 bucks, and it's at 211, and it's not like we made that trade very long ago. So Marvell just continues to impress, and I did not think we were getting this high, but I looked back at that January 12th where we all made our picks, and I was talking about the PE of Marvell was in the 20s and just looked pretty attractive. So now that we're in the 40s, you might want to think about potentially getting something out, but it just goes with that same story again. Doubt, doubt, doubt. Keeps on working. So Marvell, I don't know if I'm buying any dips on this one. Just going to try to let it run on that kind of valuation.
Well, if you're like us and are constantly trying to keep up with the markets, and Gemini Predictions lets you actually trade on what you think happens next. So if you think the market's dump after inflation data, you can express that view instead of just watching it happen. The app is super easy to use. We've been liking the automated oil markets, especially with all the volatility you've been seeing. To start trading now, head to gemini.com/tradertv or scan the QR code you see on screen. I want to thank Gemini for sponsoring this portion of the show as we talk about things that are rocketing to the upside.
That awesome transition there, Neil. Let's talk about some of these names. I mean, you said rocketing, so we'll start here with Rocket Lab as well. We know they had that launch really recently, which was successful there to the upside. But really, this whole sector, guys, including ASTS, LUNR, probably being helped in large part by the SpaceX IPO, which we're expecting later next month. June.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for an ETF name, there's an aptly one named NASA. NASA. It's been ripping up since inception in March. You also have Planet Labs, ticker PL. You also have Firefly, Lunar, LUNR. A lot of different names you can look at, guys. We also had the SpaceX, what was it called? Starship launch last week. You know, varying degrees of success. Many different engines didn't fire, but that was one of their premier tests for what they were testing for this time. You also had the successful splashdown in the ocean, but as probably you saw, it did explode. That's why we put these things to the test multiple times before we put humans on them. So we'll keep watching the momentum here, Adara, but good luck for all the names.
Indeed. Do you guys think these stocks are going to the moon today?
At least up and until the actual SpaceX IPO, just try to ride the wave and understand that maybe you get a bit of a top. Maybe we find a top on, we're still thinking the 12th, right? So maybe you find some kind of a top on the 12th, and whether it's because money comes from some others to go into SpaceX, or maybe it's just because the biggest IPO of all time in your sector can signal a bit of a sell event and an exuberance high that day or maybe the following day. It doesn't really matter. There'll be a few things that could give you a bit of a pullback. So you ride the wave going into it, and I think for now, there's a lot that you could be watching here. MNTS is a small capper that's going. You've got Redwire here. The thing I like about Redwire, like it's at an inflection point, this $20 level, like this prior high with obvious room to still go higher. So it's at a point where it's like put up or shut up. So you had some selling and profit taking and then a bit of a trend break happening here. So it held the trend at 1965. Thought maybe we'd get one of those opening trend breaks like we saw in the quantum names, where they just slightly trend down and then break out right at 930. That was kind of the play, but it's already starting to go. So I might have to look for the dip into like 1975 here. Whether you're looking at this, momentous, had been strong, but now it's like it already did something I don't usually like as much, where it was the heavy uptrend that got broken. Whereas you got Redwire, which is trying to break out of a bit of a downtrend in the pre-market. So looking a little bit better and above VWAP, while MNTS has pulled back a little bit here. But yeah, I think you're riding this wave at least up until that SpaceX. And maybe we turn before that, but I do think that's going to be a great ring to register event. If you can be any of these names, Rocket Lab, ASTS, the whole bunch.
Yeah, mark it down. June 12th is what we're thinking about for that one. So I think Tesla, maybe gets bought up until a couple days before, and then I was thinking maybe a switch, as we do get a lot of cult following there in the name from for Elon, so from Tesla potentially into SpaceX. So let's see if Tesla has a couple more days to get through this 450 area, and then it might be a sell, and then we wait for SpaceX, and then potentially coming back in a little bit. But for today, up 1%, the market's up 1%. I like Tesla. Any kind of a drop down into, you know, Friday's sort of closing area, 427 or so, I like that play for a long. So let's wait to see. Tesla always has those big aggressive moves. We talked about that off the open. So here it is on Friday, you know, opens up at 421, gets all the way to 428, and fades right back into that open area again. So I'm just looking for patterns on Tesla. It doesn't have to have news. This just come back in, base out, and go. We've lost money doing that, you know, trying to catch some of these bottoms because it's pretty aggressive, and you know, next thing you know, it's down $3 or $4. So I'm going to go over to see what Joe likes to look at, and that's TSLL. So that's a little bit of a cheaper one. You don't have to risk too much on.
We had a super chat from Pack Rank.
Oh, TSLL.
Yeah, all one word here. Tesla call options. Tell today
plus a few days. Yeah, I think that's right.
TSLL.
Yeah. So, yeah, all right. So you can ask that to Joe. Joe will be here momentarily. He's not here right now. But, yeah, that's what I was saying. So I think that the next couple of days you could get a little bit of a benefit here for Tesla shareholders. And, yeah, TSLL, a little cheaper than Tesla. It's double the move. So we'll see if it gets going. Still trying to break above this $17 marker. I like the name, and I think you play dips. So $15.50 or so for Tesla. Why not take a shot there? That's what one looks like. That's what the other looks like. So double the action there on TSLL than TSLA. I think you might be onto something here. Let's wait for a move down for Tesla, 425 and change for that one there. And thank you so much for another super chat there coming from TikTok. So we want to make sure that everybody's watching us on TikTok, watching us on Instagram Live, watching us on X, watching us on something called YouTube. Make sure you're doing that as well. And if you are, hit the like and hit the subscribe, man. I mean, we talked about many different ideas today. I like the SMR. I like SoFi. Some low-value names there. Add TSLL to your list. Apple trying to go. I mean, if you guys, what are we going to? We have nuclear news coming up now. We only have 10 minutes to go. But Apple, like this chart is just like, come on, man. Take a bite out of your breakfast with an apple today. That just skyrocketing, man. The wife and I went to brunch yesterday. Nice little couple side pieces of fruit there. Had some apple. This is 290, trying to go higher there. We really like Apple in the next little while. Upgraded from B of A today. Plus the chip story is not stopping. Plus AI. I mean, these guys don't even have to put any money in CapEx-wise into AI. They've got a plan. You're going to see a WDC coming. I think it's mid-June or so. Adara, June 8th, did you say? Yeah, there it is. So early June they're coming. Big news coming from Apple. Get your Apple shares while they're still on sale, although it might not seem like it's on sale. Down 0.5% against the market today, up 0.6. Market's up 1.23. So getting a little bit of a haircut against the market today. I like Apple. I like Apple long. Let's go back over to the desk with the boys, or with Adara and Sharif.
Quickly want to touch here on DBX. Not too much volume on this, but the company did just announce that CEO Drew Houston is going to be stepping down after 19 years. So DBX potentially on watch, not too much volume. Certainly more volume and excitement here for both NNE and Oklo. They both had pre-market catalysts today, Sharif.
Yeah, NNE here.
Acquisition, Adara. So they picked up Secure Transportation Services. So that company is basically specialized in both domestic and global nuclear logistics. It handles the security and the compliant movement of radioactive materials, one of the more, pressing issues with the resurgence of nuclear as a clean form of energy. And this push actually makes them vertically integrated, which allows Nano Nuclear to control its own fuel supply chain, as well as fast track, different global deployments of its next-gen micro reactors. That's what they're kind of really been pounding the table on. Total consideration for this acquisition, about $13 million, and that's going to be structured in a couple of ways. $6 million in cash or thereabouts, and about $7 million in restricted shares of Nano.
Well, I'll mention Oklo here as well. OKLO, interesting catalyst here, announcing that the U.S. Department of Energy has selected the company for advanced negotiations under the Surplus Plutonium Utilization Program. Now, this is also interesting because immediately prior to his, official confirmation here as the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright was on the board of directors at OKLO. That's, again, Energy Secretary. So interesting look here for OKLO and NE. Both of these with catalysts. Are you looking at these, or are you looking at some of these other nuclear names today, guys?
I like Oklo. I mean, Oklo, they all look pretty good. But if you talk about like where there's room to go, Oklo certainly is going to stand out a little bit, up 9%. It's not really at that high. 80 to 82 is the local top from just a couple weeks ago. But it's got that interesting gap up and then pull down look that's happening. So if it can't hold on to VWAP, like you could fill right back into the gap at 69. So you have to keep that in mind. But it's got that nice, you can call it a bull flag, but you know, that little downward trend going into the open after a gap up. We've seen this, I feel like, multiple times last week, where you get a stock that puts in this gap, has the clean downtrend, and then just looking for a trend break right away off the open. That's kind of what I was going for with Redwire, but Oklo's got that same look on it. But it needs to break that trend and fire back into the upside. As I said, there's room to go higher when you look at that daily chart. So 9% seems like a lot. When you consider how volatile these have been in the past, easily can get into double digits.
2 games Sunday, practice yesterday. Shout out to the High Park team right here. This is my team of girls. There's Gia right here fixing an earring, it looks like, or something right there. But shout out to the girls. We had a great time there. Red Sox game, girls game then on Sunday, and then a practice last night. Get over here and you can find out what stocks we're trading, and this is on Instagram today. So there it is, man. There's the market context. There's the SoFi long. You can go find it. This is all also on Twitter with that. So go over, give us some love, follow us all on Twitter and on Instagram. There's SMR, 1175 area with Oklo news from the U.S. government. Should be an interesting, the space could be on one this week. Maybe it could be the one this week. Okay, good, or on one. Worth holding a piece to see. I'm actually looking to potentially buy. I have a bid down there in my own account to buy some SMR right around here, man, and I wrote down 1175. So it's going to come in quite nicely. I mean, it was at 1230 when we wrote this down. Now we're coming back into 1175. Watch out now for SMR. Oklo's where the story is, so that's probably a little safer. I'm not going to be getting into Oklo like immediately or SMR immediately right off the jump right now. You can see one's kind of coming back in. And has a ways to go to the 200 period. So if Oklo does drift down into there, obviously SMR is not going to be a buy, where I wrote it down at 1175. But hey, man, still the 200 period moving average. So we did a pretty good guess where that might be. And if we're going to use a level to potentially be wrong at, why not 1150, which is where the closing price was down here on Friday. So we'll have to wait to get some SMR. I like it. We'll see if it goes. Let's just quickly have a quick jaunt over to these imbalances. RDW, we talked a little bit about that, Redwire earlier. Bitcoin with IBIT, a little bit of a sell there. BlackBerry, the Canadian name, continues to be bought up, and we're not really too sure why. MNTS, there's SMR, so SMR with a little bit of a bid coming in again. And no NASDAQ names really. Oh, there's Rigetti. So, last week's play was Quantum. We'll see if that still has some juice left to it. I thought we were down. Yeah, there it is. I think I was going to say, I thought we were down 1%. There's Rigetti down a little bit. So, there's NVIDIA. I just said there wasn't too many major names, and the biggest market cap of them all is right there. NVIDIA up 1.25% with a small buy imbalance. Already done almost 7.5 million shares today for NVIDIA. So, with 4 minutes to go, let's go get one more story here. It's race. Neil, I guess, bought that first electric Ferrari. Let's go find out if that helped the stock at all.
Or pass.
Yeah, I mean, certainly did not help the stock either pre-market right now in the U.S. listed, and of course its home Europe listing. Here is this new car. It's called Loose, which means light in Italian. It's going to go for about $640,000 USD. People do not like this car, Sharif.
It's a hideous car and a hideous design. And quite frankly, I'm a little buoyed by this, because if this is the best Johnny Ive has to offer us in terms of his design, then OpenAI is in some for serious trouble. Here's the bear case. Huge R&D spend, uncertain buyer appetite, potential brand dilution, especially if the customers reject that hideous concept. The bull case is, though, Ferrari's extending the brand into what they're calling the new ultra luxury category without really sacrificing price or power. But I was telling Neil off camera, my opinion on this is Ferrari's at a crossroads here. They were very good at creating internal combustion engines that go fast. That's not where we're going. We're going to electric. Everybody is fast in electric. Just look at some of these Chinese vehicles. So who does Ferrari want to be in this new phase of automobile design? So I think it's stupid, and I hope that they cancel it.
I mean, so far the market has spoken, and they do not like it. How do you guys feel about RACE or maybe some of these other auto plays here today?
Well, it was going down before this, and it's going down after this, and I don't know. I don't actually think it looks that bad. I think the issue is there's a certain expectation, and this is not what people are used to. As Sharif said, what makes them stand out when you're going electric? I'm not really seeing it. Like, you look at some of the auto names, they're separating themselves here, and you've seen that with multiple charts. So I don't want to harp on them. I don't think there's many that will be trading this. And if you do happen to be trading, remember the primary listing is over in Europe. So at 11:30, that's going to close. At 11:30, that's going to close. Usually get a bit of a volume spike. There it is over in Milan. But yeah, these guys have been languishing. If you're looking for a completely unrelated auto name that looks a little bit stronger, maybe not today, but Ford's been on a bit of a breakout train. Back under, I guess it's back under that $15 level. Some size on the offer there. But yeah, Ford's actually pretty well set. What is going on with this chart? Why do I have such a, I don't know why it's showing the holiday. It's kind of useless. Usually you don't have a gap for the holiday. Shouldn't matter. Anyways, if it needs to break out the 15 level on Ford, like there is an auto name in an uptrend with a top break that's actually set that could happen this week. So I would keep that on the radar if you happen to be looking for something for a break. I mean, Tesla is setting up for a bit of a breakout. We were looking at the chip names going into the open. Obviously, those imbalances came through. You saw some big ones on, well, Nokia is still there. Redwire is paired off a bit, now only 700,000. BlackBerry still there. SMR is still there, 400,000. Virgin Galactic apparently is still kicking around there, 300. Oklo, 300,000 to the buy side as well. So mostly buy imbalances. And of course, I mentioned Ford, and then it ends up being a sell imbalance. But that looks a much better chart.
Yeah, we got out live on the show of some Ford at 1491 on Friday. So it's basically right where it is. Apple just dipped into our buy zone with only 15 seconds ago. Apple just came right into 309. So, you know, the market went for a little bit of a dip there. Look to get filled early on some of these plays if you're following it. But I'm going to give it just a couple breaths to make sure that these are the right levels. 3, 2, and 1. We want to thank everybody for joining us here on a holiday shortened week. You know, I hope everyone did have a great Memorial Day. Spend it with your loved ones, but now you're with us, and we love that you guys are here as well. So be part of the Trader TV Live family every single day at 8 a.m. as we go live, and watch out for these markets. Oh boy, Apple goes right into 309. It's what we wrote down, but like I said, hard to take a trade in the pre-market when the market is doing this. There it goes.
Tesla just broke.
Yeah, right up there to the upside. So bye Apple, right off at 309. We wrote that down, but we're not, again, just talking about that level, not willing to take it so far. There goes, bang, our number one trade idea so far today, SoFi, but see ya. And this is the problem, man. I mean, you know, you like the longs, and there it goes. SoFi was up 3% when we talked about it. Now it's up huge. I guess I didn't get my dip buy in my own account there on SoFi. The last time I bought this was 18, so we're getting a little more matured up right now on SoFi, Apple, SMR, and the Qs. So maybe it's the Qs, if anything, that's falling down a little bit here. I don't know. What you got? Anything?
Tesla broke that 432, but immediately came right back in. So on a Monday morning, got up to the 30, got up there, got like that buck, and then came right back in. So quick in and out, just grab the dollar. Look to see if it can make a continuation. Is this, what's with this
wow,
wick at
Apple.
440? Anyways, I'll clean up that chart. I don't know what that wick is about at 430. But on the other direction, as Tesla tries to pull back, yeah, well, Intel might actually want that 118 support. Intel just dropped $3 at the open, so that is falling like an absolute rock. Well, thank you very much, Randy. And Redwire as well. Redwire does not re-break that trend, but I wanted to look for a trend break, expected that you could see some selling off at the open. It's trending down despite that buy and bounce. I'm going to look for a trend break on Redwire and figure out what's going on with that Intel. But good thing we got out of that break on Tesla, because the market immediately comes right back in.
Yeah, good job there on taking that. You got to take $1 if you get it, especially off the open. You never know how far Tesla's going to go, so good trade there. Yeah. Okay, so SoFi right now up 7, still going. We're going to have to wait for it to calm down. We said where Apple potentially was going to go. They came into 309, perfect level. It's exactly the level that we wrote down, but, you know, can't take it. Too aggressive. Marvell reports tomorrow, so I was just looking at the account. Man, oh man, I actually realized I actually have a bigger position now in Marvell than I do in Microsoft, and I've been buying Microsoft for 30 years, so might have to look at some of this Marvell position as wow. Now you're up 10%. I'm not going to show I don't want to upset Joe or anybody here early. I'm not going to show the standings. But there goes Marvell. No, we'll show it later, Joe. Don't worry about it, my guy. As the one stock that I do like, I love the CrowdStrike. Joe's got a banger of a pick there. And I think JP Morgan and some of the banks now will start to mature back up a little bit. I mean, they've been getting hit as a lot of focus has been on tech and whatnot. So here we go, man, with JP Morgan up that 1%. I still like that play. I'm still waiting for Apple. So I'm bidding 309.50. If that can come back in, we'll see about getting along here for Apple. Market pulling. I wrote down the TQs at 79 right now, so that's well off of that level. And then the other name was, and I haven't gotten a trigger yet on SMR, again, like we wrote down 1175, it didn't quite get in there. The lowest it got, and everything got in there off the open, so I'm not gonna cry over spilt milk. But at least on here, we got SoFi, we wrote down a long, that's much higher than when we wrote it. Apple, same way, SMR, and the TQs are coming down. So the one trade that so far might fill for us is a short, is a long in the NASDAQ if we continue to pull back in. I'm hoping that Apple can fall, and maybe we'll get that bid that we're looking for there at 309.50. So I don't know, but thanks, Randy, for the coffee.
Yeah,
and I hope you guys are going crazy over here on some of these names. Is it Oklo right now? No. Oh, Oklo.
Micron.
Micron, yeah. Oh, I'm just saying Oklo right here was one of those nuclear names that we thought would get going, and it actually just now made a move off the lows. So it was SMR that actually took off instead of Oklo. So I was thinking I might have been on the wrong one, but it looks like SMR was the right one there. And then people still like all about Micron, man. I mean, you have
840.
840. Oh, Micron and Marvell, probably, and ARM. I mean, we've just been going crazy on these. Look at Marvell, man. Marvell up 10 as well. ARM, we sold some at 297 last week. All right, well, that's going lower, but that hit 324 earlier today as well, man. I think
that hit 320?
Yeah, I guess so. You got to put some offers out there and yeah, get some fills. So there it goes, man. 310 now for ARM. Just waiting for Apple to come back.
I just sold some then.
Nice, good. Waiting for Apple to come back in right here to the low side of 309. So
yeah, well, I didn't get the obviously
ARM. I like ARM.
Yeah, I mean ARM pulling back pretty heavy. Look, the market. I know you're seeing what's going on in Micron and in Marvell and some other things, but no, the Nasdaq's going the other way here. And falling pretty heavily. Like I look at this and it's like, okay, well, why are we seeing so much strength in the market? Well, I can tell you right now, it is not in all of the chip names. Intel continues to absolutely bleed. It's into the 118 level, but I don't want to catch that falling knife. Got to look for maybe some kind of a higher low that's going to have to play out. Tesla is still, I tried cleaning that candle up, but it just kind of came back. So you'll have to bear with the Tesla chart until we get close to the open. But because I want to look at right here, like it's still that 431.32 to look for some potential dips, but Intel is trying to catch a bit of a bid finally off of the open. Look at that. It's just so much selling for this to go green to red. Would love to see it put in a nice little higher low without all of this pressure underneath it. So Micron leading the way, but this market is looking rather unhealthy. And Oklo, it's trying to break that trend, but it's already failed once. So here's your little bit of a downtrend on OKLO. Now it's starting to go. Redwire doing something very, very similar. But Oklo's the one trying to get VWAP right now. Redwire just got through VWAP. If Oklo can close above, Oklo doesn't really matter. Just going to look for a bit of a breakup here. But got to be careful getting into longs. Heavier market than I was expecting, and oil's doing nothing. This is not because USO is going up that you're seeing some of that pullback. Like you're still holding exactly where we were before. Oil is not the story here. Maybe just some profit taking.
Yeah, it could be something. I mean, right now I'm just trying to find this market and see if it does have a bearing underneath it. But yeah, shout out over here to Steven. Yes, Steven. I do remember when we were celebrating Micron popping over $100. Now we can hopefully celebrate it popping over $300 the next level, but it just got over 200 right now. So we'll have to wait for Marvell. But yeah, thanks, Stephen, there for remembering that, and hopefully you're long with us over there as well. Kick it out back now to SoFi. Nice fall, right? And so the whole market's trying to come back in. You can see the Nasdaq still up 1%, but has now broken through VWAP. So SoFi is getting into the spot again. We wrote down 15.75 into $16. So you're getting a little closer into that. I think maybe we could put a bid now on SoFi, just in case it does fall into some levels here, like just kind of like right away. Let's take a little bit here at 16, and then we'll see if we can get a little lower there into 15.75. We'll wait about taking that price and then see what we can do with SoFi. So that's coming in. I just put a bid right now at 16 flat, so something I'm willing to take there on SoFi. Coming into your 200 period moving average, I like that stock. And then also 16 bucks, sort of the high here from Friday. It got going early. Let's see if we can get it going a little bit later. And then I'm still waiting at 9.50 for Apple. I don't know, beggars can't be choosers, but I'm going to choose that price. Breaking now back through VWAP, coming back in. We'll probably get SoFi first, it looks like, by the way this is acting. But there we go. We just dropped down 40 cents. Here comes Apple. We're waiting for, okay, was there some news there? We're waiting for 50s. There it is. Now we have 50s on board right now on Apple. So we're long on a nice little dip buy. Get something out in the 80s if we can do it. So here it goes, man. Apple, bang, right there, just like that. A quick little 30 cents on AAPL. What's up, Adara?
Here, I'm just seeing some comments. Apparently, a lawmaker in Iran named Mahmoud Nabavian is saying that a potential Strait of Hormuz agreement that would reopen the waterway without Iranian sovereignty would be a pure loss, quote unquote, which I mean, it's very likely what the U.S. wants, but regardless, sounds like it might be a bit tough for Iran to agree with that. Again, Iran lawmaker questioning a potential Strait of Hormuz deal that would result in a lack of Iranian sovereignty, in their words, for the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you.
Just quickly here, because we're out of half already, almost out of half of Apple. Apple right there goes $1 immediately for us. So there it goes, man. It's a big trade alert for us. We've hit our daily goal there with Apple already. One trade, we're in, we're out. If you want to take it, fine. I'm going to wait to see how much further we have to go. Like I said, man, we're out of half of Apple there. Big trade alert, came in right into our level. We were talking about waiting for 309.50s. So obviously when it comes in, we're gonna sit there and take it. And there it goes, man. We get that price and boom shakalaka there for Apple. Nice little trading off of those levels. So yeah, you have to be very, very pleased with that move. And yeah, the damage is starting to be done now on Apple, but out of half with that most recent move. Well, look, when you can get the low of the day right back into VWAP and then right back again into the 200 period moving average, something that we're going to try to take advantage of every single time. Apple on the run here again.
Yeah, Apple doing the dance and love it to the upside. Oklo finally starting to go. There was a bunch of nuclear names that were running. SMR, single was on sympathy. Oklo and NNE both had actual news. NNE with an acquisition, Oklo Department of Justice. Department of Energy. But let's see if we can finally break this trend. It is tried on every single candle since the open to break the trend line down. It just hasn't been able to hold. So the first time it does, gonna get into the long on that bad boy is Intel flying. Now you're starting to pick up a little bit of steam. The market's back above VWAP. The longs are starting to come into play. I just want to see this one hold. It's the one I'm watching. Maybe NNE's going. Maybe SMR is going. Haven't really paid too much attention to them because it's Oklo, that I just prefer it a little bit more than the rest of them. And yes, I saw some discussion in the chat. Micron is well above the 800 level. I don't know why there was confusion over that, but maybe someone misspoke. Micron hit 850 bucks and is at an all-time high, up 13%. Micron is doing just fine. The market might be down. Well, the market might have been pulling back, but Micron has been blasting almost the entire time here. So now we're getting that trend break. I can quickly show that to you here. Your breaking trend on Oklo. For the first time, it's looking pretty good. I have to give it to about 71.5. There's room to 74 up top here on OKLO. As some of the small cappers have been a little volatile this morning and haven't shown as much strength as you would like. What? No, that's not the stop I want. I said 71.5. We'll have to jump right back into it after that little bit of a keystroke error. There we go. That's in a little bit better. All right, so locked and loaded. As long as we can hold on to the trend line, I'll give it to the prior bar, which is kind of like the current one right in here on the trend, and see how far this wants to get to the upside. Intel already went. It was look at this candle. Just absolutely, completely, and utterly, absurdly insane, as you can see. So not much of a chase. I didn't want to be sitting on a falling knife, and you were chasing this one about $1.50 off the highs to try to even get into this. So we'll try to take the first out on Oklo in the 72 half range, try to take about 60, 70 pennies, and then see where we go from there.
Yeah, good. Oklo, good strong name there. We're still looking at that SMR. There it is. There's another out for us. Now it's officially in that club. We're now over that dollar as Apple going higher, man. We've now coming up to 2 times our goal there for the day on just on the one trade. And again, watching out for the super chats. If you guys have anything, let us know. We would love to talk to you guys about anything you have. There goes SoFi coming back in. I actually lowered the amount of shares I'm taking here on this SoFi fill at 16. I'm going to wait to come into the level that I thought, this 1575 right now, because again, not really acting properly there. So 3/4 of 1 unit right now on SoFi and waiting for 1575 to come into play. This name not acting the way we thought it would, and not when Apple's treating us the way it is, man. We might as well just keep on watching out for the more aggressive longs. Well, we just missed 311. We were waiting for 311 there, a little bit of a pullback. Look at this market, though, man. Just shot out of a cannon right now to the upside, 1.28%, hopefully led by Marvell. It was pulling back just a little bit into 212. What is the big dog doing? And then we're going to go over to Adara. 216, so NVIDIA holding fort right now. What is rallying this market? We'll figure it out, but right now we got to go over to Adara.
Yeah, no news on this I've seen, but I do want to flag for you guys. CBRS, Cerberus, however you want to call it, it is breaking new all-time lows. It smashed that 250. It is currently, as of right now, roughly $20 below its intraday high. So lots of weakness here for CBRS to make you guys aware of. I also want to do just a reminder here at 10 a.m. we are going to be getting CB consumer confidence. 92 is the forecast, 92.8 is the prior, and we are coming off of a record low University of Michigan confidence reading on Friday. Back to you.
That should be SSR from Friday on Cerberus. So at some point, I'm going to look for a bid. Remember, 185 is the issue price. If it gets anywhere near 185, I think that's got to be a spot that you look for a long. But Oklo does not hold on to that prior bar, so loses the prior bar, going to jump out of it. You got one close above the trend. We'll give it a couple more shots, but it'll be pretty clear. It has to break this downward trend to try to jump back into that bad boy. Intel, as I said, just completely gone. At this point. Maybe there's a VWAP retracement. Same thing with Redwire. The only name that I was looking short is, I don't want to be chasing Uber down here. Uber got an upgrade, but remember, they're also buying Delivery Hero. Well, sorry. They were thinking of increasing their offer for Delivery Hero. There is no firm deal. They're thinking of increasing their offer for Delivery Hero. That, to me, makes them a little bit weak if they have to do that. I'll play for VWAP, maybe the 71 area, but you couldn't get a 73 short if it doesn't get up there. But the market's strong enough to allow this one to come back in to the upside before even attempting the short. Because when you get that kind of a reversal in the market, where they do that dip and rip, and then rip, that's about as bullish as it gets. So have to be real patient with any kind of a short idea so far. And by the way, Tesla, the breakout on Tesla is kind of gone, but it is still pulling back into a prior support here at 424. So this will be another allow it to try to trend back in, play the trend break. Still want to be long Tesla. It's still green, but not doing quite as well as the rest of tech.
All right, everybody. Hey, welcome. SoFi did bounce off 16s. We're going to hold on to that. I'm going to wait to see if it gets up to 10s right now, and we'll see if that can continue to climb just a little bit. We're still on Apple. We're still on SoFi. So those are the 2 names. I was looking at Google. Did have a dip down into some pre-market levels there, but didn't really buy it. Obviously, we chose, choose the stocks we chose. But right into there, there's the pre-market lows for Google. Came right into 383, and now busting through, trying to get back into those highs of 386. So watch out there for Google. If we have the visualizer up, we can have a quick look. If you guys go into the chat and go $ any name you want, it will show up in here. So right now someone's typing Google, Microsoft, you see it at the top, GCTS is another name. Yeah, there's Micron. So obviously leading the way there is MU. I'll put that back up. I'll just have a little quick talk there. Micron's up 14%. Yeah, you read that right. ASTS, so AST Mobile with a big mover today, up wow, $120 for AST. AMD still going. There's your DRAM ETF. Let's go Marvell, although pulling back now into 212. That name, Palantir, is still on the bottom left there. Can't get going. Palantir, forget about that name for a while as the software names continue to get struggling reviews. I think Microsoft is going to be a buy at some of those levels. And then MNTS, obviously a big name as well. Here, MNTS was up over 70%. Yeah, Momentous was up over 70% at one point there today and still is. So hovering, trying to hold out on 12. So anybody that's got Momentous in and around that $12 level, good job there as it's dipped down a couple times. Still waiting for that 200 period at 1150. I think that would be, you know, a little bit of a safer spot to get involved with. Wolf Speed, it's TeraWolf, not Wolf Speed. We did talk about these guys a little bit earlier as well today. They're just kicking higher. And we said, you know, when there's a gap, play that back into VWAP, and that's exactly what happened there at 2450. Nice play for Wolf, TeraWolf upside, and then Pony AI we talked about earlier as well. Just running through some of the names that you guys had asked us about. Oh, and by the way, there it is, man. We'll go 2 for 2 on the face slapper as here comes back upside SoFi. Obviously now I wish I didn't lower my shares there. We got 1 unit and we were only gonna take 2 right there and then wait for our 1575. But so far, man, we called that Apple long, we called this SoFi, so we're doing pretty good over there. And Pony has been ridden to the downside right now as it breaks the 200 period. Earnings day 1, they reported earlier this morning. Poet pulling back nicely back into $9. Wait to see if it goes red on the day. Look, green to red, not a good sign. Maybe a short of Poet through 890 as this stock trying to go green to red.
I don't trust that Poet stock.
Nope.
I never liked it. They lost that deal with Marvell, and ever since then, it's just felt a little bit of a trap. So Tesla's breaking the trend, and I am going to get that short, it looks like. We're seeing enough weakness in Uber that it's holding the lows pretty decently. So I want to short this one into the volume weighted average price. So next pop up, we're going to try and grab that. Tesla's coming back. It made a couple of higher lows in here. So I want to play this into VWAP after the breakout trade just happened. So Tesla looking for the reentry long, which we just grabbed, and Uber want to just continue to look for that short. So those are 2 things that I got on watch. Is Redwire. Wow. Okay, so I'll show you the black chart while we keep on Tesla here so I can get my stop in. Redwire now 23%. The space names are hot, absolutely crazy. And you can play these with ETFs. I know there's that NASA ETF. Apologies. For some reason, the NASA ETF is not in our database right now. So we're gonna have to get that one added so we can show it to you. I see it in Blue Ocean. I know it's there. It's just we can't really show you that NASA. You can look at UFO. I can pull that one up for you, but the space names have been pretty bullish lately. So looking for VWAP, which we just got to put. Okay, whatever. We just got to push into 430 there for Tesla. Remember that 432 was a failed breakout. So to play into that same 432 level, let me show you on it. Whoops. Uh-oh. That's right. My chart crashed. So I have to fix this. You don't want to see all that. And then we'll go to the 15 to show you where we're looking. It's that resistance up here in the 30s that we couldn't push through on the initial break. So this trend break long goes into that 32 level for me. So 29, just got some out at the 30 to quick scalp the buck, make sure, you know, keep a winner, all that good stuff. And then look for the 432 for the exit here. Still putting in some lower highs on Tesla. Got to respect that.
We right here, we do have some numbers coming up at 10, but this is the way, man. We talked about that. There's our sticky note today. What do we talk about? We talk about SoFi, $16, we got it. We talk about Apple long, we got that as well. So we'll start the day 2 for 2. How is your trading so far today? Hopefully you guys are doing well. We'll go 2 for 2 on our posted note. This is why we're just giving some ideas out every single day. And so if you guys do like them, go make sure you follow myself, Neil, Joe, everybody, TTV Research, which is up there on Twitter as well. So shout out to Adara, always putting up some great content over there, much better than I just put out some trading ideas. And then we also did tweet out, of course, some of the stuff that, you know, we were doing over the weekend right there. So this is the picture. You go find me on Instagram if you want to get a little more personal on that one. And then there's the sticky note there. So thanks everybody for your nice comments and your support, you know, throughout. We all definitely give a big appreciation to that. So, but yeah, there goes SoFi. We actually got a good fill there up near 20, so that was a good one. Apple's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. We just went over a couple of those names for you. And if there's anything else you want us to do, please let us know. iBit with Bitcoin. All right, there's iBit right here. Up a little bit, I believe, today. Or, yeah, there it goes. So it's starting to go up, not a little bit, 2%. We like that for you iBit traders there. But, yeah, good levels, breaking off 43.50. We'll see, just trying to hold a bid there. Crypto's had its moments. I went long, as you guys know there, at 66,000. Pretty good. I'm not planning to selling any of it. Just trying to build up a little bit of a position here in BTC. So far so good there, as it's really bounced off of 76. We'll see if we can get a little bit more love happening for Bitcoin. But yeah, good day there. Crypto, trying to make that move. BMNR would be another one to have a look at there. BMNR, those of you guys in BitMine. We do have to go over to Adara, but oh boy, it's been a great day so far, man. 2 times daily goal on 2 for 2 on both trades that hit. We got to look for the NASDAQ dip buy and the SMR dip buy. We'll go over to Adara.
In my estimation, we're having the first real spike of the day here in USO as Israel's Channel 12 reports that their ground operation in Lebanon has begun beyond the yellow lines. It looks like we're now getting some tensions, unfortunately, waking back up here between Israel and Lebanon, specifically started here by Israel. The other thing I wanted to mention really quickly earlier, I know Neil and Sean were talking about Poet and Marvell. So I looked into this recently because I was curious. It's a little bit more complex than just Marvell canceled certain Poet contracts. Basically, Marvell acquired a company that already had dealings with Poet, and then once that acquisition happened, as far as I'm reading, that's when these contracts, I guess, under Marvell's new leadership of that company, got canceled. So it's a little bit slightly more complex here, but that's at least more context here for POET. Again, that's not a brand new catalyst. It's from a while ago, but just to mention, because that was brought up a couple minutes ago.
Thanks, Adara. And maybe it was the timing of that spike in USO. Who knows? It could be, could not be. Doesn't really matter. Tesla goes into the 432. We're trending it into the breakout price. Remember, it was originally a 432 breakout. That breakout did fail. Went about like $1, $1.50. I guess the best you could have got was like $1.50 on the 432 break. Pulls into the 29, breaks the trend. I jumped out looking for the target at 32s. Now I got to track USO. If that's going to continue higher, the play was to look for dip buys if this goes higher into the 139, 140 range. So it's pulling into Friday's lows, 139. You got 140 in here. We'll look for the curl in USO there. We'll look for some entry longs at that point. Whether or not that's Redwire, maybe back into the volume weighted average price. That's up 23%. Could still be Tesla for sure. Could also give me a chance to get into Intel as well to look for that next opportunity. Intel has been all green since that crazy dip. Hasn't even done much of a pullback. So you got 21s at VWAP, you got 22.5. Either one of those coincide with USO pulling back, and we're going to go for the next trade. Either, like I said, those are the 3 names I'm watching here. It'll be Tesla. It will be into the first time for Intel, and never got the Uber short. That headline was really bad timing because it kind of turned things off the highs when I was sitting there trying to get that short over there in Uber. But whether it's Tesla, Redwire, or Intel, we're going to buy the next dip once we calm down in oil.
So we will be getting, I like that little play there on oil. I mean, you never know what oil's going to do. We are waiting for those headlines right there, intraday high for oil. What I wanted to do was, no, it wasn't into here, was it? Oh, I was looking for some of your guys' plays, responding to it. We'll cover that in a second. There was some, oopsies, I just closed that by accident. There was something I wanted to show you. I can't remember what it was right now. Okay, just to talk about, again, what I'm looking at now. We talked about Alibaba earlier, potentially dip buying into something. I just got a note here that Alibaba made its way all the way back into VWAP. So this could be a play, watching out for that 130 level or so on Alibaba. So we'll have to wait to see if that breaks higher. Now still down 1.15% on the day. I know you were just looking at Tesla there. We did get some talk of Tesla earlier and people looking to dip by that name, and that seems to have been working out. Remember I said off the open, like Tesla has these crazy moves where it goes up and then right back down in. I think we even talked about 428, if not a little bit lower. So don't have that trade, probably should have it. But wow, what is happening right now? Apple extension, we just get a fill right there on Apple. So that's going to be a good one. Look, man, I only have these 2 positions, exactly what we want to have today. But SoFi, just quickly to talk about this, we just got another piece out on SoFi. It seems to want to hold 16. I'm not averaging more in until it gets into 1580. There it is. Trump to hold cabinet meeting at Camp David on Wednesday. So, okay, I don't know exactly what they'll be talking about. Hopefully, maybe there's a deal.
Economy and foreign policy, amongst other things. Last cabinet meeting, he talked a lot about Sharpies. So it literally can and often is anything. But again, that's not going to be happening here. It's not confirmed yet, and it won't be happening until tomorrow. Usually they start at either 11 a.m. or 10 a.m., and lately they've moved from more of a long speech type into more Q&A.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have any. Last time he had, I think there was a couple kids there, and he asked them. No, I know, but he asked him about, you know, one girl was like, oh, you like playing volley? She's like, I really like to play volleyball and would love to play volleyball. And he looks right at the girl and goes, well, I don't think you're tall enough to play volleyball. So you might want to look, you might want to look somewhere else. And I was like, oh, that's really nice to say those type of things. So
they have defensive specialists.
You know, yeah, exactly. Well, hey, man, I mean,
it's
just. Maybe he's just keeping it real. I don't know, but that is President Trump for you. Always exciting and always entertaining, no matter how you no matter how you feel about him. We say wow because I just saw 125 there.
Intel.
And see you later, alligator, as the kids like to say there. Maybe you can be an alligator hunter if you were a little smaller. That may be a little more agile.
Hell no.
More agile in there to avoid that. But there we go, man. Wow, Intel up 5% and still going. And if you've been watching that, then you might have some in your pocket because there she goes right now. It is Intel's land, and we are just all simply watching and living in it. Talk about Donald Trump. I mean, that has been a great call by the U.S. government to put that money into Intel at $20.
Not even a call, investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight cash.
Exactly. That's a good one. So that was a great one there. So for them on that, and thank you for leading the way for all of us on that trade as well, man. We got some in. The only thing I didn't get into was Dell on that move up, and I haven't still bought any MPs or anything like that. So we'll just wait for some more trading opportunities to hit so far there today. Yeah, I think a lot of those names we have to wait on. So we'll wait for some MP to come back.
You're still waiting for. We have to wait for Iran to wait for China, it feels like, right? So MP will get going again.
Yep.
Tesla, I don't know, man. Tesla, it's given a couple of longs, but you can all see the same thing I'm seeing. If you're not seeing what we're seeing, this is the NASDAQ at 30,000, Friday's highs. This is Tesla back at the lows. Got away with a couple of longs. The breakout worked. You time the next long, but ultimately this is lower highs. Relative weakness is now coming into Tesla. So it's not. Like I said, sometimes you just have to accept. You get the win that you can, and maybe move on to the next. Intel's so much stronger. For sure. So you get what you get. Like I like these both, but one of them set up twice a little bit more cleanly. It'll end up working out on Intel or on Tesla, but Intel clearly better continuation. I think if you get a fail break in this 125, which it seems like it's doing, the pullback into VWAP, the pullback into prior high will make some sense here. But yeah, I'd say disappointing. Despite the fact that despite the fact that Intel worked a couple times, I'd say disappointing. And for those that have mentioned 500 in AMD, yeah, 500 is way too big of a number not to look for a trade on a prop floor. So you get into a 500, any kind of topping tail candle, I'll be looking for a short up there. But I'm not going to stand in front of this moving freight train. If it does a clean fail or trend break off 500, yes. That's a short opportunity, but not standing in front of that sucker. That'd be the equivalent of just saying, well, I'm just going to go long Tesla because I like the long. Right? Like, no, I need to show a little bit more strength before I want to jump back into that. Adara?
CV consumer confidence just came out, guys. 93.1. This is above the forecast of 92 and even above the prior print of 92.8. And it comes after the weakest ever reading of, in its own history, rather, here, of the University of Michigan consumer confidence print for May, which came last week. So again, after a weaker than expected UMich print, you get a stronger than expected by a decent margin here, CV consumer confidence print. So very different readings here in the market. Just keeps pushing higher. We know that we have this move up here in the market, especially in the NASDAQ, if you compare it to the SPY, looking much stronger. It's also characterized here by a drop in oil, though USO did get heated up about 10 minutes ago as we hear Israel getting ready here to strike past the yellow line, as they put it here in Lebanon. Let's talk about MU. MU here with a couple analyst notes, including a massive price target hike to a street high of 1625 from its prior price target of just over 500 for UBS. So UBS tripling its massive PT here on MU as that stock continues to push higher. Apparently its best session since May 8th, so that shows you how often this thing is routinely running because it's currently up 14%. RACE also on watch, so this one's certainly not crashing, but sputtering a little bit here with its engine after we get that new EV Ferrari, not too well received here by the market or by people who are looking at cars in general. Other news here out of Europe with European listed stocks, because it's an interesting pattern. BP actually recovering nicely here off these pre-market lows, but British Petroleum announcing the surprise ouster of the chairman of its board. He was here for less than a year. He joined in July of 2025. But you can make sure to join us every single day on Trader TV Live. We're going to go back to Neil.
Thank you, Adara. And you're getting another top here, possibly on oil. A little bit of a double top action as it got to 138.5 on the USO, that is. So if we hit that nice little resistance spot, Intel's dipping, so that could give us a chance to get into Intel. But we're heading higher on that Uber trade. So if Uber can just pull back into the prior low, going to work into the short here. Been waiting for this thing to actually pop to get us in, and this looks like it's going to be our first chance. So Intel looking for the dip buy. Uber want to try to trickle in underneath 71. The prior low is 71.3, so like 71.32 or something like that. So trying to get here in the 90s and then look for the back end of that trade. Still do like that 500 on AMD, but you got to let it go. It just hit 95 and trying to go a little bit higher. Still got $5. It's only 1%. It feels like it wants to get there, but it's a round number. It's not a stand in front of a moving freight train. If it does the false breakout, then I'll just get in on the way back into the downside. So first time through, we're finally into Uber. Just took a little bit of patience and a lot of market strength to get that name higher.
All right, there you go. He's into Uber right now. We're going to get a couple bangs right here just quickly because there's Apple 311, man. You got to empty the clip when that starts to come through. So we did exactly that on Apple. Wait to see where it goes from here. Nice little pullback there. And then look what's also happening with SoFi. So yeah, buddy. There goes SoFi cooking now to the upside. We definitely like what we're seeing with SoFi. We just got long at 16 and took out 1630. But hey, what would your trading look like if capital wasn't a constraint? That's the reality for most traders. It's not skill holding them back. It is the size. Well, Trade the Pool changes that. Step into the U.S. equity markets with up to $200,000 in buying power without committing your own capital. Full access to stocks and ETFs, both long and short, executed with the precision and freedom serious traders, of course, expect. Your performance is measured by one standard: discipline, risk management, and consistent execution. Meet the standard and you can operate at scale. No subscriptions, no ongoing obligations, just a complete and clear path forward. For those of you ready to take and trade beyond your limitations, this is the next level. Visit tradethepool1word.com and use TraderTV one word to get your 10% off. That's code TraderTV to get your 10% off. And wowee. And you know, if you guys are looking to make trades, we always put all these videos out, right? The videos are nice and everything, but I really do think that trading comes from a proper plan development. You know, we sit in here, we make these notes at 8:30, at 8 o'clock. We post them out for you. We have a great watch list. We have a great community, right? There's SoFi at 16. There's SoFi at 1630. Low of the day into VWAP. So for me, this is a clear out. We have half of our position on right now. We're able to get out of about a quarter there and about a quarter right here right now. So just watching trade management. We'll get out a little bit more if it breaks back down below 1620 there. But this is what trade management's all about, and this is what you're trying to do, I hope, as well as us, and that is manage the trades as best as you possibly can and take whatever positions are there for you. Like that's at the 200 period now. So let's take a little bit more out of Apple in case it does fall back in. And that was an ad that we just read for Trade the Pool, but we have our own trading software here. This is Real Trading, so make sure you do join us up. The campus program is, of course, now on. But let's go figure out who's making all the money here at Real Trading. And this goes back to, I guess it would be Friday's numbers, actually, I'm not sure.
You know what? Maybe they published.
They might have published Blue Oceans on here. Yeah, so this is yesterday's. So actually, we don't have the U.S. markets here. So light trading day. A lot of traders don't come in on U.S. holidays, or even if you're in Canada there. But this is what happened yesterday, and this is why you want to be with a company that potentially trades multiple different markets, right? I mean, yesterday we had traders trading Madrid, Milan, Turkey, Vienna. There as well, the Australian market kicks in yesterday, as well as a bunch of Canadian names as well. So the CSE, Canada, TSX. So even when the U.S. market is closed, we do not sleep here at Real Trading. So a big shout out to everybody that made a little bit of cash yesterday as I was chilling out, getting new quotes on Windows. As we haven't replaced our Windows, I think. Been living in this house for 20 years, haven't replaced them. But it's about 20 plus grand to replace the windows in my place. So that's not great, but we're going to have to put a little bit more shares on board here to pay for that. So 16.25 coming into play for SoFi. I'm going to take another piece out right now at 27 if we can. Coming back in, remember the plan, man. If we break 16.20, we want to get out of a more significant chunk. So let's do a little bit here at 27 on SoFi if we're able to get it. And that would be nice if it filled right now, but it's not. That would be nice again. We're on ARCA right now, so we're looking for that fill on SoFi.
Yeah, you know what?
There it is, 16.27.
And ultimately, you invest in the house, it's just the way to go, man. Like, you know that at the end of the day, you know, better energy efficiency, all that kind of good stuff.
We like it.
I don't like what I'm seeing in Tesla. Like I said, we're into Uber. Intel looking a little bit weak right now. But just looking for that VWAP retrace here for now on Uber. Want to try to add to this under the 71. That's going to be the current stand. We'll be at that 71 level and then play into VWAP. While Tesla just continues to go down. I mean, the market's doing a dance with 30K. The NASDAQ's doing a dance with 30K up 1.5%. But Tesla is just not really participating like we saw before. Like, you're really starting to trend down. I don't want to think this is a short just yet, but it is starting to feel like Tesla overall is going to end up a short. So Uber, this is the next trade for me. Hold the 71, play into VWAP, play into the low of the day, and Intel really starting to come back. Intel is violent. The first pullback gave you a really good higher low and reversal candle, but look at how much you had to chase it. So into VWAP, I expect it to be something a little bit dirty, and I don't want to get trapped by the first move. That's happened to me multiple times on Intel, only to see it go later. Like, see this pullback, you get trapped, then you get a much cleaner one into VWAP. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, that the second higher low can be the trap, and the third one can be the good one to said upside. But just about patience, man. I just really don't see what's going on that's going to turn Tesla into a bit of a long trade.
Okay, like, honestly, man, you're now $2 here on the trade of the day for myself with Apple. So I don't know. I'm waiting at 311.35. Actually, we just got missed there. Actually, I guess I should not have been waiting there. Literally 311.35. We'll see if we can get that back in again. January 12th, Joe wanted me to show it, so let's show it. January 12th, we all made picks of what we thought would be hot for the next 6 months. And this is what it looks like there. Poor Mateo over there is now back into the lows there with Neil down 16%, Mateo down 17%. Obi's dropping rank now. He's at 4 now as those shorts are finally getting squozed out of there. But there goes Obi, had a great run for sure. Ramin coming back with all those space names. Very smart of Ramin to do that, right? Play the thematic levels there. So good job there for Ramin as she goes with I think hers is AS. Let me see what she has over here. Yeah, ASTS and Rocket Lab. And Netflix is kind of just chilling. So she has a great portfolio there. I'm happy with mine, although it's really just Marvell. We'll have to wait to see. Eli Lilly was hitting today as well, but there goes Marvell. I mean, makes up for it right there. This is what we're doing. And the overall, he always... I'll go to you, my guy. 5% right now is the average. So if you took all of us there, that's what we're doing. And Joe, of course, I'm not skipping you, my guy. I just want to see what the average was. There we go. Joe coming right back up. We like that CrowdStrike. And since we're here, might as well. CrowdStrike, great position there. JPM and Walmart. So I really do like this portfolio. I actually hold these two names. Do not hold some Walmart. So that's just a little bit of a look there at the portfolio tracker. And we will once again do plays starting in the second half of 2026. And join us. That was one of the fun days, of course, that we had. And it was good. We'll see if we can once again do that. We did get this fill right there. So we continue to ride. I love this when our arm goes up and goes down like that as we ride that bull there back to the upside on Apple. Keeps on going there. So, there we go, man. Big names today. The NASDAQ up 1.5%. Oil trying to come back in. It's been a real fun day here. I hope you guys are trading with us. It's been a successful one so far. Sharif and Joe coming on the midday. That's always a blast. So get ready for them to come through. And I believe Sia's making her return today, as she's been saying. So we'll see Sia hopefully here this afternoon.
That's the plan as far as I know. So we'll see Sia back in the house. We do get Papoose? Papoose? Can I get some technicals on Sleeping Giant? Okay, Highland is a sleeping giant. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's go with sleeping giant for this one. Up 12 points today, and it's a squeeze. It's 100% squeezing. Whether or not that makes it a sleeping giant or just a momentum play, fair enough. But if you're doing TA on these, you're not going to find much, right? Like you just saw the daily chart. It's parabolic. It's a day 2 play. Anytime you have big gap up, day 1, day 2, usually look for that like day 3, I suppose, pullback. So as long as it holds on to this trend, usually it's the 3rd day that you look for the pull. Just prior highs held as support. Well, it hasn't yet, but it's a breakout of the prior high, so you want to see this hold on. You don't want what happened in Tesla, right, where you get a clean double top breakout, fail it, and then start putting in the lower highs. Like that's the technical aspect of it that makes Tesla not look as good. I mean, it is what it is. Like the longs gave you some bounce plays, but you want to at least be consolidating over the prior resistance level. That's how you stair step it to the upside. Not much to say when it comes to technical analysis there. Let's be real. Like that stock is absolutely flying. When you have a blue sky setup, maybe you like Fibonacci's or I don't know, whatever you can use to try to get some profit takes. I don't know what's going on with. If I clear that, what's with the black space there? Oh, it's the voting thing.
Oh, someone has a voting space.
Oh, that's okay. I was trying to figure out what that was.
We can get rid of that.
We don't really have a poll for you guys just yet. We'll figure something out. Forget what the one was last week to end the week. You know what?
Oh, we had something about like what people were barbecuing.
It was like we had 6 no, we had a stock one. We had a sector hold. Remember?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Quantum. Space. We picked a bunch of sectors and we're trying to get you guys to say which one you like the most. And I feel like it might have been Quantum that won it out. I'll try to find it again. But either way, the 30,000 level on the NASDAQ seems to be the wall. I haven't gotten any more fills here in Uber up top. It's sort of holding the consolidation here. Relatively weak name on Uber. So as long as it holds underneath the prior low, I think this one can be a stair step into the downside. Looking for VWAP, as you guys can all see here on Uber, and trying to get some more 71s. But it's Intel that's doing this whole dance at VWAP. It's trying to hold now. So it looks like we're getting some confirmation of this VWAP hold here on Intel. This candle has to close green it, and then we'll look for the 121.5 to the long side. Just feel like I don't want to be in a trap like that Tesla was. Got away with that a couple of long trades so far in a downtrend. Tesla's going to break low a day. Disappointing for them.
Yeah, I'd say so. Anytime you get the market doing what they're doing there,
and then you're at the low.
Tesla's there, yeah, it doesn't really make too much sense. That's for sure. But that's why we just stick with the good ones. And there's Apple again. Let's check out ARM. ARM was pulling back just a little bit here today, up to 311. Now there's a great little level came back to 300. Oh my gosh, nice little bounce off there. Props for anybody. There you go, props it up. Props for anybody there that just tested out ARM right there at $3. That really flew in down there. That came from 320 down into 300. So into 300. Yeah, good little level there for ARM. We'll see if that one continues to hold out for highs. Meta, the 320s, the 324 is the high. I don't know if we're going to get back to there exactly, but we'll see. Always worth a little look. Meta, okay, good little level for Meta again, bouncing off 600. So, we remind ourselves about ARM there at 300, Meta here at 600, still down 0.12. And this is just a chip story, it seems like, right? No matter how much we think, we could outsmart this market, it looks like it's the Microns, it's the Sandics of this world, it's the Marvells, it's the Intels that just keep on chugging higher. Meanwhile, you get big mega cap names that are, quite frankly, trillions of dollars in market cap continue to sort of, wonder when their turn is. Up 1.5% right now, the market is. And Microsoft, imagine where this market would be if it had Microsoft on its back as well, or Apple. Apple's up, but, it's not up like these other names. Right now, Microsoft, Palantir, another name that we haven't even looked at yet today. This name, again, struggling, down 1%. So you got to be very, very careful to which names you're looking at and why. Right now, Palantir, not beloved like the rest of this sort of AI chase has been. And, that leads me to another name that we talk about all the time, BigBear.ai. Finally, BigBear.ai is in and around a level that, we've been buying. We're still long at 420. We haven't been buying this level. We've been thinking about it down here at your 50-period moving average. But again, without a true story here for BigBear.ai, we kind of hold out. Amazon has a huge story underneath it, and that is their monster stake that they have in Anthropic. So I really think that once this name becomes public, just similarly to, and I said that Tesla would eventually sell off because of SpaceX. I didn't think it would happen today. I thought we'd at least get into June before that happens. But right now, Amazon, I feel almost the opposite of Amazon. I think people will run into Amazon as we get that date for Anthropic. Obviously a monster investment there by them and Google, the two highest invested public companies in Anthropic. I mean, unless Blue Owl or something, I don't know what's going on.
No, I think.
But yeah, it's those names that I'm excited about for Anthropic.
Don't sleep on Amazon's retail business, man.
I'm sleeping on it a little bit.
The reason why I say it's hard to sleep on it is just do a direct comparison between Amazon and Walmart and then Amazon and the other cloud companies. And when you do that, you'll understand that Amazon basically gets a valuation where their retail is free. It's just that simple. And that's if you're going to compare them to Walmart, then you're getting that business free. And you can make the argument that Walmart's overvalued, but one of those, something has to give there. Amazon, great company, fundamental. But it's not all about fundamentals. We've seen this time and time again. I love the stock, but just because something's fundamentally good doesn't mean you're going to get the move to the upside. Just ask Alibaba. Just ask any Chinese stock where they don't care. So we're catching this 30,000 on the NASDAQ is really pumping higher. Here, I'll show you what's holding us up. So we're pumping higher, holding above last week's top. So this is all fresh, new highs. And even in this weak name like Uber, you're seeing it hold on to VWAP. I'm just bidding in front of the volume weighted average price to get another leg out. I don't know if I'll like a third reload if this market continues going higher. It's a relatively weak name, so it's worked, but it doesn't mean it has to work forever. So just going to try to get, there we go. Just got the bid on Uber. If it loses VWAP, I'm thinking low a day, down in the 70s to 70 and a quarter. The difference here is, well, the stock sucks. It's been downward trending for a little bit, and we just broke that shelf. Just keep in mind the market is strong enough to maybe lift all the ships here. And if it does, I'll jam out of this trade. Got to be able to take what you can. If we start holding VWAP, that's the kind of thing I don't want to have to be fighting. But for now, certainly working out. Tesla's trying to go. There might be one more shot at a trend break here in Tesla. But I'd rather be long something at VWAP. And here comes Intel trying to hold it.
Pulling back.
Intel's in a pretty heavy pullback. I'm trying to think if there's another chip name that's maybe holding above prior day highs that I can go for the dip buy in instead. Thinking possibly this could be SMCI, which is trend up above prior highs, which I prefer. So I might jump over to SMCI, just thinking it looks a little technically better compared to Intel. Adara?
Small caps on watch here. We're starting with QTEX. This is QTEX Quantum. This is a day 3 catalyst. This isn't new from today. They announced this on Thursday morning in discussions with an unnamed top 5 global quantum computing company, but a strategic collaboration. QTEX only became a quantum company earlier this month with a strategic pivot. So keep that in mind here. QTEX falling right now, but decently up on the day. And again, a name that's been on watch for the last handful of sessions. NCRA Nocera, transforming their company into, wait for it, Nocera Holdings. So almost the exact same name, except now they're going to be expanding across AI, data centers, robotics, biotechs, and digital assets. So basically, lots of big tech buzzwords. They also entered an equity purchase facility agreement with an investor, valued it up to $100 million of newly issued shares. You've got a $7 million market cap and a $6 million share float here for NCRA. Last but not least, UZX, Linkage Global, trading higher after announcing an $8 million buyback this morning. Now, the company themselves only valued at just under $11 million with a 2.3 million share float. Back to you.
Oh man, part of me wants to short this. Thank you, Adara. Part of me wants to short this Microsoft at this level. Just quickly, very light now, right? Like less than 10% left on Apple, less than 10% left on SoFi. Talked about getting out of SoFi at VWAP, and we talked about getting a whole bunch out. We got a quarter out there, a quarter out there, a quarter out here, and another piece out right now, as we have about 10% left now on SoFi. My out is breaking 16. We're not going to hold this into a loser. We'll just take those 2 trades so far and relook at what's going to happen moving forward and see if we can find a new name. And that's why I said, oh boy, am I really going to be looking over here now at Softy. Maybe, we lost a little bit of money last week trying to get cute with it. I don't think this is getting that cute. I mean, I do have to fix some of these wicks up here, but you're right back into here. Looking actually at a short near that 420 marker. You know, NASDAQ's up 1.5 or was more now, 1.6. Microsoft just getting back to flat, breaking through the 200 period. Was actually thinking about a short now, maybe even against that 419. If we're going to be in it, let's not be in it for very long now with Microsoft. So we'll take some now at 60s. We'll get it in and around 419 just to give it that little bit of a boost. Like, we don't need to short the exact tops here. And then put our stop at 419.25 if it breaks. Oh, sorry, I was doing that on the other screen there. All right, so there it is. Now we're short. There, look at this, man. All right, almost immediately, we only have half a unit, so it's pretty light. We'll give some back, obviously, if this breaks higher. But there goes Microsoft a little bit going now as, I don't know, I just thought this might be a decent look at a short against that level. If you're really looking at it, maybe that 420 is something, but I'm not gonna, you know what, we can give it a little bit more room because of what we have. But let's give it up to 419. It looks like it's gonna go. Let's just go to 50s, and then we'll stop. Oops. Put the wrong price. We're going to stop out there if it does break. So let's go 419. I just got back in. 419.51. We did punch out by accident there. So we're going to give that into the 50s there, the high of day. And it looks like Microsoft now trying to go. Just try to short, maybe a weak name, but yeah, maybe we got news on Momentus. Okay, so let's go MNTS.
MNTS, a 200 million universal shelf registration.
Ooh,
so that would be some pretty decent sized dilution for Momentus. It's still up 85% for now, but that just broke trend. You're going to. Oh, I thought it was a big volume spike there. I guess it wasn't even that big of a volume spike. As I look up at a different chart. Yeah, okay. Right. Well, it's not even that big of a volume spike, but it is starting to head back in. It's holding VWAP for now, but yeah, that is a universal shelf registration, $200 million for MNTS. The market just continues to go higher. Wow. I'm looking up, like, Intel is barely getting off of VWAP
trying to do over here.
As the market's just flying higher. SMCI is still in that pullback. I just kind of prefer this. If I'm going to get into a chip on the dip, it's got an uptrend into the prior high. So if it gets into VWAP or holds 36, that'll be next. As the market continues to go, Uber is now through VWAP. And I was looking for that 70 level for the short. Like, there's really no levels out here when I pop to the 15-minute that's anywhere close. Like, you zoom out, this is where I get the 70 from, just going to the daily in the middle of April. But if this market keeps blasting, I don't want this getting back above the volume weighted average price. So I'm gonna trail out of this if it gets above VWAP and look for something else, maybe to the short side. Or maybe there isn't even a short to be had. This was the one name that looked relatively weak, but SMCI still want that dip buy. If it can get into VWAP here. It's trying to go. Just not really falling far enough because the market's too strong. I'd have to nibble in at 36 even, and we're really just giving it underneath about 35.9 where the volume-weighted average price sits. And yes, Tesla continues to go lower.
Boom.
As I said, so Tesla's now making lower highs and lower lows. The breakout gave you the buck and then immediately reversed. It was able to curl, kind of give you that trend reverse trade is the word I'm looking for. Trend reverse traded back into the 432. But a breakout spot has to break resistance. And that was at 432. Where does it turn? Right at 432. So unfortunately, the seller's in a little bit of control there on Tesla as the market continues to scream higher. All right, I guess it's time to get into this SMCI. We just keep on making fresh highs on the NASDAQ. This is going to hold that 36 instead of VWAP. Then I'll take 2 shots at this instead of 1. First one above the trend line, and we'll wait for VWAP if it gets there.
Yeah, I was going to wait for 428 to break on Tesla, so we'll have to wait to see if that is that change of trend. But right now, yeah, going lower, 427. That's going to be one of my next looks will be on that. You know, we did get stopped out of Microsoft. We picked 419.50. I'd hate for that to be the top, but I'm not going to just keep on layering into it. Like we said, we lost on this name last week trying to figure it out, and there it goes, man. I thought like a weaker name into the NASDAQ would have been something to go with, but yeah, it looks like that rate now continues to go higher as the NASDAQ is just impressive, man. Just keeps on ticking, keeps on going there. NASDAQ, NASDAQ, nice moves there. Tesla bottom picking. Oh, we did get it. So SoFi breaks 16. We're out of that one. Not that this is going into the gates of hell or anything. It was a really good trade, but we only, that last 10%, we want to get out for flat. So there's a 16 break. We lose 2 cents on that one. But yeah, you know what? Losing 2 cents when the least we took was 11. We'll be happy with that and on the last 10%. And again, just wait. We wrote down 15.75 to $16. So there's our first tranche in and out. Normally we don't get like that was great. The fact that we went up in there into VWAP. I mean, we got to take that 10 times out of 10. So hopefully that will continue to be a trade for us every day on that one. And then Apple's pulling back just a little bit. There we able, oh, wow, now it's not. So let's go back over to Apple and just tick out another piece here as might as well, man. There we go. We offer 65s and get it. There goes Apple. We already tweeted this one out a couple times. Days high for Apple, really holding fort for me on that one. Still waiting to see if we can get back into Microsoft. And then, yes, I do like that Tesla break of 428 as wow. The NASDAQ is just blasting, man. That TQQs to get involved with that one might have been something. And we saw SoFi down a little lower there. JP Morgan, good bids. Well, it's down through $16.
IBIT's like going a bit program.
IBIT's going upside, so that could be a Robinhood thing. So we can have.
No, Hood's not moving either.
Okay, yeah, Robinhood's not moving. That's not a good sign for Robinhood then.
No, it's not a good sign at all.
But IBIT up, yeah, IBIT. I mean, thing about it is we haven't looked at too much. We talked a little bit about oil, but we haven't necessarily looked at it too much. There's USO. I mean, it's just kind of hovering around. So I thought if maybe Bitcoin was heading to the upside, maybe USO was heading to the downside. That does not seem to be right. So, yeah, holding out on USO now, down that 2 and a bit percentage points there, looking to grab a bid at the 50 period. Now goes oil. Microsoft pulling back. That's making me think about a short. I don't know. And then Tesla, still waiting for 420. Okay, I might just cancel this 428. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Microsoft teasing me with another short.
I'm looking at that move up in Bitcoin. It was like program buying on on IBIT, I should say. Obviously, Bitcoin is going crazy as well. But I look over at MSTR because it'd be nice if Robinhood was going. That kind of sucks. But MSTR could end up with a very clean trend break if there's no actual story here. Locates, aren't I? Oh no, it's free today. All right.
Oh,
well, yeah. Okay, so free on MSTR. But as we saw that big parabolic move up there in IBIT. Just going to look for a trend break here on MSTR. Once it closes under the trend line, 1, 2, 3, and now trying to break the trend, close under, look for the short, and hopefully play it into the volume weighted average price. It's just a setup here. And with IBIT going, going to want to make sure I'm going to put IBIT on a separate chart just so I have that. If it starts making fresh highs in IBIT, that can be a chance to either just not take the trade or potentially, if I see it happening, just get out in the moment. Always want to use IBIT as a bit of a futures for this. If it happens, usually they're going to move side by side, but in case it doesn't, I want to make sure I have that up there. And the good thing about a breakout or a trend break, it has to actually do it or I'm not getting in to the trade. So we got the VWAP bounce here in SMCI as sort of showing you here. That's pulling into the volume weighted average price for the long. Going to get some offers into the high. But I feel like it's MSTR is now the next setup. AMD didn't want 500 for a reversal, but MSTR and IBIT does provide something for a trend break back into VWAP. The chips are holding this up for sure. And if there's nothing specific going on in crypto, I'm not saying the dollar's not moving crazy or anything. So I don't really see an explanation for this move. Like USO's not moving, dollar's not going.
Yeah, we haven't had like a break from Adara. Like there hasn't really been anything crazy news-wise here. Yeah, so nothing. Adara's still watching the wires for us there, and yeah, always you're in the right spot for that one. All right, we did put a little bit more risk here onto this onto this Microsoft trade. Just went short as a breakthrough 419 right now. So we tried this. We had better prices than this, but right now we'll take what we have as this is pushing lower now for softies. So let's take out 450 cents. We'll take out a little bit of profit. Well, now for much more than that. Now 70 cents. So here comes Microsoft. We'll see if we can make it all back just with this one trade. But took a minute to get it. Was surprised at that move higher, but we hadn't necessarily been trading Microsoft all that well. So let's take a piece out here on the 200 period like we did. We're actually sitting right now at 10s. See if we get another level there. There's levels to it, and we'll see if that can hit right there as well. Apple still upsides. We're talking about that. We didn't talk too much about NVIDIA though either. NVIDIA and Palantir kind of on the back burners here today. There goes NVIDIA 218. They're trying to break highs. That would have been a good dip buy into 215. We did buy last week. We talked about getting out of some ARM and getting into NVIDIA. We bought some NVIDIA. I think it was 215. On, was it 215? Yeah, it must have been
right
there. Yeah, because that's right there, those levels. So we bought some 215s there on Friday. Now up to 218. Whatever, man. We went from ARM into NVIDIA, so that won't be good. ARM sold to 297. Might be close to the same.
I don't know. I feel like ARM has more downside risk right now than NVIDIA.
Yeah, I would say so. Downside? Yeah, just because of where it's been.
Valuation.
I think that's about right. Microsoft, and we can go back over to that, but there's $1 now on Microsoft. So finally, that name pushes back down a little bit, and we lick our wounds from those shorts. But there comes Microsoft right back in. And we did get out of our SoFi, so it's Microsoft, Apple, and SoFi here today on a green day.
And MSTR, look at what's happening in Bitcoin. I bit almost all the way back into VWAP as it broke that trend. And then once that happened, you're starting to, I mean, this is not rocket science, but you're going to see MSTR sort of do the same thing. So it got to 166.5, was able to get more shares, but I had to chase a little bit down into 166.09. So it was in the 30s there. So average price about 25 or so. Looking for just in front of the pre-market highs. That's going to be the exit point. But as the market, well, as that comes back in, SMCI dip buy off of VWAP, loses VWAP. So we're in at 36.03, only giving it about 20 cents, but that's, I mean, it's a $36 stock, right? So 20 cents on this is, I think, enough. And if it loses, like I said, if it loses trend, then I'm jumping out. You cannot hold that VWAP. And now the short's coming in here. It's weird. Like, it'll be a counter trend trade in MSTR and a counter trend trade in Tesla. Well, the first one's not a counter trend trade because that was just a breakup. Then a counter trend trade in here that'll give us the wins. And sometimes that's how the market's going to treat you. You just have to find your spots. And it might not be where you thought originally or the direction that you thought. You just sort of stick to your entry points. And here's another reason why I like that 164, resistance. So I think you can catch a bit of a bid here. And if I do see a sharp spike up in IBIT, I can always just punch out and take profit. I'm not letting this get all the way back into the top. Not in this kind of a strong market. Like, we're in a 1.7 NASDAQ up market right now. And even with crypto pulling back, so NASDAQ futures don't care. They're still going higher. So you want to make sure you bank on your shorts, get in, get out, and don't turn any winning shorts into losers. Not in this environment, because we're going to get 2% at this rate. And we're going to get it before we even throw it over to the midday.
I was thinking we had to pay for shorts on USO. I think you might have said that before.
Yeah, there was a couple times we had.
Yeah, so right now we are paid for that short. I'm, who knows if it's going to be right here, but I'm going to try to play it. We have a break through the 50 period. We have a support up there. I'm actually just going to use this as our out. Actually, we can even take it up a little bit higher there, 137.80 or so. We'll see if we can get a short there for USO on this right now. You know, we're short in the 20s, so if we can get another fill in and around 60, we'll take that. So let's put an offer up around 50s or 65 50s or so. We'll take that, and then we're going to stop out on this kind of a break right there. Let's just go to 138. We could do a stop on that, 138.01. I just, like I was saying, man, maybe there's going to be some sort of a, you know, offering today of some sort. Let's see what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz as well. But for right now, short into that, just underneath. And we want to play it technically like, there we go. Did we just get a fill there? No, we did not, almost. Hopefully we get something on bidding O's. We're bidding O1s. We'll see if we can get a fill. And just trying to play it technically now. Broke down below. We'll see if we do get a shelf break. And hold on, did I just get that fill? No, we're still bidding 137.01 to see if we can get 25 cents and we just miss it. It was only going to come out at 10%. Let's see if we get a little bit of a bid there. We do have I heard Adara, but you let me know if we're calling over there. I haven't heard it from my guy yet, so we'll wait to see. There goes USO. So here we go, man. We'll fire off the hot dog cannon. There's another one, another good trade there on USO downside, but we're only out at 10%, so let's not be too excited about it. Andre, let us know if you want us to go back there for a dare. Here it comes. Yes, sir. There it goes. Props up on that one as there it goes. Nice downside play. There's 50 cents again right there for oil as here it comes. Nice move down in for USO. Take another piece out, man. Let's bid some 61s. Bang. There it goes. We just took it on. Bye-bye USO to the downside.
Adara?
Keep an eye on USO. As Sean mentioned, moving to the downside, Wall Street Journal reporting that the U.S. Navy has begun guiding ships once again here through the Strait of Hormuz. They have restarted assisting vessel crossings through the strait under the renewed Project Freedom operation, which was announced and then very quickly disbanded and apparently is back on. Once again here, U.S. Navy apparently restarting guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz, according to the Wall Street Journal. I also have to congratulate Micron here, guys. MU reaching above $1 trillion market cap for the first time ever. Back to you.
You know what? I don't think we allowed Micron on that poll when we did the $1 trillion poll. I feel as if we left that one off because it would have been, we didn't want anything that was too chalk, and Micron would have been way too chalk, just given the momentum. But congratulations, Micron. I'm pretty sure almost every single time a company's made to the 1 trillion mark, there's been like a temporary high, but that has not been an intraday thing. I'm fairly certain it's like, that's like the day after kind of idea there. So watch out. It's just a psychological, probably profit taker, right? Bitcoin's starting to pull back into at least where the support was. This program buy started at 43.6 on Bitcoin, so if it bounces there, that's where I want to look for the exit. And on MSTR, it is looking like it's going to be above the 164.5. So I'm going to get on the bid here and just take it out. Now trail it to the 165.5. So we got the trend break that we're looking for, but now that Bitcoin is trying to make its journey back to where it started, got to recognize that MSTR hasn't quite gone there. And if all it wants to do is give us a buck retracement, I'm happy with that. Like, I'll take it. It's right now strong relative to Bitcoin, which is surprising. That's not, like, I like the fact that you could get into this lagging a bit, but look where Bitcoin is and look at where MSTR is. You know, allow it to do what it's doing, but when you go back into that support, I'll just take the profit and run. So we'll look for the next opportunity. You never know where it's going to be. Maybe it's AMD 500. I think so. I mean, AMD's now at 496 and still trending higher.
496. Oh my God.
I know. Well, okay, hold on a second. But AMD, what's AMD's market cap?
I don't know, like 600?
800? It's got to be getting close to 800. So I guess AMD's going to be, I mean, I don't want to say it's next on the list, but it's got to be pretty close. Who's closer to 1 trillion and next on the list if it's not AMD? You guys let me know. But I tend to think there's...
Yeah, it's 760.
760?
So we're getting up there.
Okay, yeah, we're getting up there. I mean, these guys are probably going to see that trillion, who knows, a month at this rate?
Yeah, I mean, well, it doesn't needs 30% more. Well, it needs 25% more, 30% more.
At the rate it's going.
I think it's... Yeah, I don't think it'll be this month, but you can see.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
still expecting
month,
a little bit of.
Is over. My bad.
Oh yeah. Well, even in June, I still
May already
expecting.
over.
I know that's what I was saying. May 26th already. Well, we might. I mean, you might get 25% in the next couple of days. I shouldn't say never for that one, unless you're Justin Bieber. You should never say never. Never say never. Yeah, get it, Adara over there. All right, karaoke time around these joints. Here we go, man. We did. I mean, there it is again. Right now, we want to say thank you to Steven one more time because, yeah, man, there's Microsoft. We've got this name, man. We've got it pretty good as well. So Microsoft making a move lower. Let's just get a little bit of a bid here. Crossover, get some 65s. Nice move there for Microsoft, down $1.20. USO didn't. That was, I mean, when that happened, that was good. We have half of our position still on board of USO. So, you know, here it comes right back up. So, you know what? Take advantage of those headlines, that's for sure. This could still be a stop out. I mean, that's why you want to make sure you put money in your pocket when that money's available. And it was for sure for USO. I mean, when we almost made $1 on that trade, when our stop, we already gotten out. We're going to try to get a little bit more at 60 than our stop in here around 80s. So we're going to wait to see if that continues to make a fall down. And, you know, I don't know what just happened to IBIT there. Like, I don't know, Adara, if there was some more news about
crashing.
Like now it's really cratering in. So those of you that were sort of identifying an IBIT long there, wondering, I mean, we looked at it and remember we said like Robinhood's not really going. SoFi's, if anything, is hovering around flat on the day off the open. It's still up 2%, but IBIT right there pulling right back into some support. So just wondering, and we say, what's up with that? As we look at IBIT and we wait to see for 417 coming in for Sir Softy. What's up, A?
I don't have anything on IBIT, though I will let you know that apparently in recent days we were seeing a massive decrease here in how many people think we're going to get that Clarity Act passed through soon. So that's just a general crypto catalyst.
Okay, well,
nothing brand new here on IBIT.
I mean, Clarity Act issues would be a problem, that is for sure. All right, $1.70 right there. We got reloaded on Softy, and we put that right back into our pipe and smoked that one. Back downside for USO as well, and I'll throw it over to Neil. I'm going to take another bid just right here. The prices aren't that important for me on USO. We try to play the momentum, and we try to play. Prices are important. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, I don't think, okay, it's at 137, I'm going to get out. I don't, the even dollar to me is whatever. We've just been bouncing around this area, so we take a couple more outs there, wait for one more crack lower. But this is very, very news-based, and it could turn at any moment there. We did hear those ships getting escorted through the strait would be a good sign, but, that's not the play. Like, once this thing gets actually opened up for good, I'm expecting USO to drop like 10+%, I would think, there if and when that winds up happening. But good outs, good out. Oh, by the way, another out there on Apple, right there, 311.50s. Very, very light now on all these trades. Yeah, as we're getting close to the end here.
Taylor and a lot of others are saying, why not short MU? Well,
talked about that. I'm not shorting Intel or MU or anything.
The thing about this is, like, it's one thing if it's like $1,000 or like maybe there's like some kind of 900. Like, in this one, you've really got to get it in good. There's a big difference between seeing a parabolic move up in crypto that was going. To be honest with you, there was no story with this. I'm actually surprised it's coming back as far as it is. There was nothing at the moment, it was just all programmed by, goes right into resistance and breaks the trend. Where's the resistance in Micron? Oh, that's right. It doesn't have any because it's at all-time highs. Like, that's part of the problem. Like, MicroStrategy, you're going into lower highs for that short. So I like that trend break, and I'm going to like it better. 10 times out of 10, if the stock has a trend break, but you're shorting it in front of resistance, much better. Wouldn't you want to buy in front of support and short in front of resistance? So yeah, Micron might break trend. Maybe DRAM is a good opportunity as well. But these are all, like, you're waiting for just one spot to get in. Maybe you're taking 2 or 3 shots at it. I would prefer some crazy even dollar level where you'd see a lot of profit taking, at least personally for me. So the next available trade might, like, maybe it is something like that. I don't know. Like, AMD at 500 is that kind of a thing. It's just at such an obvious level. What doesn't seem to want to go here is Intel. And the longer Intel kind of holds this, let's just say, weak higher low trend, and this might end up being a reversal play on INTC through VWAP. So we'll see if that's next. We found MSTR because Bitcoin happened to go. I didn't know Bitcoin was going to make that move, and we saw it happen, and then we went over to MSTR. That could be next. Tesla seems like it's...
The crazy part is I canceled my Tesla bid. That was so stupid.
Well, while we're looking at crypto, I went over on the level 2 I was using for Tesla. I moved to MSTR. Take that trade, but now Tesla has broken trend and goes right into the prior close. So
I had a trigger buy at 428 there, breaking right there, and I just didn't do it. Like, I literally canceled it, thinking like, Tesla's going to be weak there, so we technically should be. It doesn't matter, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but we did talk about that play there at 428. And the reason why I didn't average, like, I didn't buy those dips, is because we had broken above, and I remember Neil talking about trend and everything. So we did break that low there of 428, and I wanted it if we retook that level. So now I think it's gone. I'm not going to wait around and bid that one more time, but these are decent areas for some kind of support there on TSLA. Back over to the desk with Adara breaking news.
We're going to talk about sectors in a second, but guys, QCOM, Qualcomm, sharply to the upside, reportedly striking an AI chip deal with ByteDance, the owner of TikTok, according to Bloomberg. Once again, guys, Qualcomm, massive push to the upside, reportedly striking an AI chip deal with ByteDance, which again is the owner of TikTok. I'll quickly here go over these sectors while I have you guys. Nice look here for electronic tech. Micron up 17% in the $1 trillion club and at new all-time highs. SanDisk also at new all-time highs, or at least briefly touched new all-time highs, both of them pulling back a little bit from these levels, but SanDisk more so, still up about 8% for SanDisk, STX, and WDC, other names in the sector up 4% and 9% respectively. So memory stocks looking great. AMD up 5%, Broadcom up 5%, TXN here up 5%, Qualcomm, we just announced that TikTok AI chip story, they're up about 7%. Strength here also exists in producer manufacturing, LRCX, AMAT, Caterpillar, GEV. We've discussed these names as having a lot of overlap with these AI plays, so good look there with the exception of Uber. Transportation is really strong, non-energy minerals really strong. Now, energy minerals to the downside. We know we've had some enthusiasm or hope lately, as of late, that there could be a swift end to the conflict in the Middle East. And with that in mind, oil names pushing lower. Consumer non-durables not looking too good here either. Philip Morris down 3%. Fellow tobacco play Altria down about 2%. Health services names to the downside as well. I looked for a story on this earlier. Couldn't find one at the time, but UMich leading this group to the downside. Retail trade also weak. Costco down 3%. They report earnings after the bell on Thursday. Back to you.
Well, Tesla's decided now to go meme crazy, but we'll try not to chase this one here on Tesla. Obviously, it gave you a third long opportunity. That goes without saying. That's pretty insane.
What, Joe?
At the time it finally goes, what's going on with Joe? Is he cracking up over there? What's so funny? Okay, Joe. I don't know if Joe has his mic on, but
I don't know. I don't know what it's up to.
I don't know. I don't know.
Something to do with me, Joe?
Probably looking at least a little bit at crypto.
Oh man, who knows?
Maybe you found a bid in Bitcoin as we've really, really come back in here. At least MSTR. I don't know what our friend JKL is thinking. Why is this in the drop down when I type MicroStrategy? AW1132. But still relatively strong here in MSTR. So I don't think this is going to be a short again in MicroStrategy. Not when it's holding out much better than Bitcoin. I feel like you got away with one there when it gave you the trend break. But I don't think that's one I want to jump back into. Still going to be looking at Tesla, obviously. And you know what? Uber's still staying on structure as well, at least for now. I got away from the Uber short because the market, how strong the market looked. But hey, it's still making lower highs. For now, that can easily change, but it's holding underneath that prior close. As long as that 71 can hold up and withstand the next push upside, I think I get back to this short over there in Uber. A little relative weakness. We got the Birdman with a super chat if we can throw it up there on Assassino. Andre? Oh, there we go. Birdman, what do we think about STEX making huge news with regards to new appointments and big insider moves? Well, you like insider buying. Insider buying is a heck of a lot more important than insider selling. Remember, with insider selling, they're always just, a lot of the time it's just, okay, well, you got to take profits at some point. They got to file months in advance. So the timing of it ends up being rather random. But if you have this kind of a long consolidation, now I don't know about the insider buying. You'd have to double check. But if it happened during this long $1 consolidation, well, that's a level that gets defended on these kind of stocks. Why? Because you got to maintain compliance at $1, and it's doing like that typical breakout. It's at 150, always room. Like think about $2, 152 when you talk about these, and then you try to make sure you bank profit on these bad boys because usually you get down to $1 from 7 for really good reasons, and fundamentally, usually penny stocks are penny stocks for a reason. But I like dollar bounces. They've always been pretty solid technically, and you're getting that 50 period going too. And if you got insider buying as well, great. Just make sure you bank wins when you get a penny stock winner. You never want to be that person that turns a winner into a loser.
And there you go. Thank you, MF Dane Generous. Just letting Neil finish there. Yeah, look, that's $3 now on Softy. So there's the short, man. We fought the law, and the law won until it didn't. Nice move down there for Microsoft. There you go. Take it. Just take a bid at $3.50 right now. That is another one, and hopefully we don't have this crash landing come into play here, but it's been a good one so far. We're out of some Apple's been a monster as well. 311 break. Let's just get out of Apple's going to be obviously my P&L number one. 310. 99, we'll get out of some Apple, and we'll get out of it all, actually. See you later on that one. SoFi has been an absolute monster. We're just getting ready to go. We got to go over to Money Talks. We'll do that today. But, hopefully you guys are, believing in some of the ideas that Neil and I have given out to you guys. What's up to Salvador as well? You want to say something here? Let's go figure out what you're saying. I think you just mentioned you're out there at Microsoft. Oh, I'm in Microsoft short with me. Well, props it up right there. Me too, man. I'm almost out of everything of Microsoft to the downside. And there it goes. USO is another name that we're in. But yeah, great trade there, Salvador. Glad that you're in here with me on Mr. Softy. Used to be my favorite stock to trade. So, congratulations for you guys to be in that one. There it goes. We're now out of Apple to finish that trade. That's going to be the banger there. We wait for USO now to come back in. We get a little bit of a short added on to that. We're going to, this one could turn its itself around and become a loser, but right now it's all good for us on USO. As we've taken some profit, let's see what happens now with United States Oil Fund, hopefully to the downside for me. Over back to the desk, though, with Adara as she's got money talks.
I have a few more details here as well on this Qualcomm ByteDance story. Once again, Bloomberg reporting that Qualcomm is set to make an AI chip deal with ByteDance, of course, the parent company of TikTok. Now, apparently, Qualcomm will be supplying ByteDance with AI-focused ASICs. ByteDance expected to buy millions of these chips for AI agent software. So, interesting look here. Again, ByteDance and Qualcomm reportedly discussing a chip deal. Let's talk here about the U.S. dollar. Nice push to the upside here for the DXY after closing lower to end the week last week. So nice start to this holiday shortened week for the DXY. If you look at what we did here last week, slightly green candle, but as of right now, poised for 3 straight green weeks for DXY. Let's see if this pattern continues. We did get some interesting CB consumer confidence print coming out here. So CB consumer confidence 93.1, that's going to be above estimates and above the prior print here. So we were expecting 92, prior print here 92.8. Now this higher than expected print also is in great contrast to last week's print that came on Friday, University of Michigan consumer sentiment 44, I believe 44 here. That was a record low for the reading. So interesting look and interesting contrast here between CB and University of Michigan consumer sentiment readings. If you take a look here at the CME FedWatch tool, we are still not expecting any cuts this year. First hike, again, according to these probability readings for now, could be in January of 2027. That would be a 25 basis point hike. Now, if you zoom a little bit closer here, 99% of participants still expecting rates to be held in place at that June 17th, 2026 meeting, which is now just under a month away. Back to you.
Yeah, that's a lock. There are certain locks, and one of them is that rates aren't going anywhere, and if anything, they're going higher by the end of the year, but the market doesn't seem to care too much about that. It's being able to shrug it off. That's the thing about a bull market. The whole point is that it's supposed to be able to shrug off negative news, rates, the bond market, at least for now. I think that doesn't hold forever. The bond market, not usually wrong forever, but for now, looking pretty good. I think the only trade I'm looking at in the current moment at current prices is Uber breaking this uptrend and holding the 71s. I want to get back to where we were with this name. Do want to respect it. I might even think about it. No, it's hard to want an MSTR long when, like, if we go back up there and double top on USO. One of the things I was saying was you look for the longs when you get to the top in reverse. I think that's the kind of thing. If we were able to do that and get the reversal, then it would be a long. Otherwise, you really got to start thinking about shorts if we continue trending up here in USO. But I'm going to go IBIT instead of MSTR. Like, one's weaker than the other. Right? Like, yeah, it worked on MSTR, but IBIT's through VWAP and making lower, obviously pressing a little bit lower. So yeah, it worked, but this is clearly the weaker, just to go right to the direct, and we can play in the volume weighted average price. So I'm kind of flipping from MSTR to IBIT, but that's just because of the relative weakness, and I want to short VWAP. Or we get that 71 back and forth there on Uber. It's only about 5 minutes to go. I didn't even get the menu.
I got it. Let's do it quickly here. It'll be a good one there. It's a Mexican today, and it's, although maybe it's a nacho kind of Tuesday, as we talked about what that means instead of a tariff tacos, but today's going to be a good one. It looks like we've got Mexican flag. It's going to be a good one. It's Tuesday. It's not tacos, but it's close enough. It's pork fajitas. So we'll see. They've been pretty good last time. We'll see if those can hit there. The fajitas have been nice and tasty and fresh, so that'll be good. There it is, warm corn tortilla, fresh corn apparently as well. Lettuce, cucumber, sour cream salsa, avocado, red onion, and then there's your roasted corn with, of course, a mixed salad. So that is what's going on today in lunch Ladyland here at Real Trading and Trader TV Live. So we'll have to wait for that one. It should be a good one. It's not tilapia today. Whether or not it is later in the week, I don't know. I'm off on Friday. My kid's coming. I got to go pick him up. He's at university right now. Then we do have a tournament, actually. So that is, you mentioned last week, and I was saying, no, we did not, but we do. So it's a local.
There's always a tournament, though.
There is, yeah. We're booked actually every single weekend. We do not have a free weekend all summer.
Well, that's
so like literally.
That's how sports.
That's how
travel.
sports
You got to.
We did get out there, and that's baseball included as well as baseball as hockey. There's USO, so we got to stop a fail on that last little reload there as it started ripping up through. See, this is what I'm saying. Like you get those stories, it goes to the downside, then it goes to the upside. So USO comes in as easy as it goes out right there. And Microsoft still $3, but we've emptied it out. Less than 5% left on that, and that's the only trade we have left.
You know why Hook might have been weak?
Maybe buying some Apple.
They're closing.
Robinhood.
They're finally closing the WonderFi deal, but that's such a small deal.
Okay. Yeah, that's
fine, but it is finally closing. It only took forever. Apparently, one of the issues was integrating WonderFi into their
well,
platform.
they got it done, I guess.
Do you know what? Like if
Tilapia clock is running out.
Tilapia clock.
We made some complaints about it, so I don't know what that clock is.
Well, I don't know how many times. I don't think we've had it in a while, to be honest.
That's what the clock is about. I'm sure this is what that.
That's what everyone cares about. It's been a minute since we've had it, and
they're counting it down. They're waiting for us to hit the tilapia.
But the once a week thing, I think, is done. Like we're not seeing it with that frequency, so that's pretty much over. But yeah, for me, the market's starting to pull back here, at least a little bit off the highs. So Uber, I think this is the next trade. I don't see any way around it. Get into that 71, break the trend, short, get some of the field. It'd be basically the same thing as before. Just want to try to hold it longer. Market looking a little bit better. David Zed with another super chat if we can get it up here. What do we got? What?
Tilapia nachos?
Nacho cheese.
Yes. I don't think there's not too much cheese on there, but they put like the spread cheese there on the shredded cheese.
Well, I don't get it because I'll be on the no cheese there, the no cheese menu, and it really just stems from how they used to do
salads.
Like they used to do the salad where there'd just be this random block of cheese, which is fine if you're into that sort of thing. Like one of our buddies used to come to. I remember in high school, the guy would like show up with like a chunk of cheese. If you love cheese, you love cheese. I just don't need a brick of cheese.
Yeah, there's only why his nickname was
with
Rat.
Lunch. Well, that's exactly where the Rat nickname came from. He would come to school and in his lunch would be a block of cheese, like not cubes, a block, and he'd just eat it. And some people love cheese that much.
Yeah, so that's yeah.
You like what you like. I'm not trying to judge.
Look, SoFi right there at 16. I mean, we're not back into this one. I'm going to be very, very careful on what I'm doing here with SoFi right now. You know, they got a nice little pullback in on the day. You know, we did have that move that was going kind of crazy there right off the open. Pulled right in, gave us a gift. I felt like at $16. Took the pretty much, we talked about that, a quarter there, like another 10 or 15% there, dropped it out, only held 10% back in, got that out for flat, and right now doesn't seem to have the juice to really do anything right now. So I'm going to hold off on trying to buy some SoFi. Just a quick look, and then we'll go over to the midday. You know, they're going to have a great show for you guys as well as they talk about, you know, some of the high-flying names that might be available in the mid-cap. We have BRAI, which is moving around there today as well. But this is just an overall, you know, look. I talked about liking some J&J, so maybe on a day like today, I could flash out of some Marvell with earnings tomorrow, so obviously pretty risky. See what they, you know, say about into earnings. But just like you don't really buy into earnings, I don't think selling into earnings unless you're just thinking about getting off 5%. Maybe we'll do something like that, worth it. But I like some J&J there, down 2%. We'll have to find out the macro reason potentially why. Some names that we didn't even look at, we'd never do on the trading side, but we always talk about them. There's Caterpillar, AMAT, GV. Some of these names. Where's my CEG? That was a recent name that I had just bought into. Constellation. I don't know why I don't see it on here. That's okay.
Maybe it'll be.
It should be an S&P 500 name. I'm not sure why it's there, not there, unless it's not moving. I like TTWO. Take two. Yeah, we can have a look there. They just had earnings. Ooh, a trailer being dropped today, says my friend over there for Grand Theft Auto. Take TTWO. Okay, nice rumors. That'll be a good one there. So Micron, 17%. Let me.
CEG, it'll be probably in the utilities.
Yeah, maybe. TTWO. Here's a quick look. So they did just report. I like the stock. Here we go, Fabian. If you like it as well, down 3% right now. And we talked about buying dips on Take Two. We should have done that. Should have done our own little logic there. Supposed to be released in November. If they're dropping a trailer again today, that should be exciting. So watch out for Take Two, potentially with an upside play there if it gets some social media buzz. Thanks, Fabian. It's 11 o'clock.
Oh, did anybody... Before you throw guys, did anybody actually watch The Mandalorian and want to tell me if it was any good? Because I didn't watch it, and Disney sucks. We hitting the bangs for it? No, probably
That was
not.
Joe.
Joe, I don't think anybody. It apparently was getting really bad reviews. I'm just curious. You guys let me know in the chat. If
Wow,
you watched
Microsoft.
Disney down. Adara?
I didn't watch it, but why didn't it come out on May the 4th? It feels like this was a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? May the 4th, guys, come on.
That's literally all Disney's been doing is missing opportunities. Obsession, Fabian saw. What's that? Okay, Obsession, some horror movie came out apparently, but we're gonna get some Mexican cuisine today, which I'm sure will be absolutely delicious.
Sure, it'll be gorgeous and
we'll be back at 2 o'clock. The short
$4
now starting to
Microsoft.
work. Let's send you on over to the professor and Joey Options. Peace.